It was a very difficult show today because we began talking about the 140 children and adults who were slaughtered mercilessly in a bloodbath, totally enjoyed by the stupid Taliban. I felt so upset and distressed, and yet somehow managed to finish the show. When I came home, I was to get ready to go to a Christmas party, and I just couldn't hack it. I just couldn't face it. So anyway, this is further to that story. Let's all unite to fight these monsters, these beasts, and God help them, we are together.
16th. Scores of people, most of them children, were killed today when Taliban gunmen stormed a school in the Pakistani city of Peshawar. Hundreds of students were taken hostage in the bloodiest insurgent attack in the country in years. Troops surrounded the building and an operation was underway to rescue children still trapped inside, the army said. Hours into the siege, 3 explosions were heard inside the military-run high school, and a Reuters journalist at the scene said he heard heavy gunfire. Outside, as helicopters rumbled overhead, police struggled to hold back distraught parents who were trying to break past a security cordon and get into the school. Behraman Khan, Director of Information for the Regional Chief Minister's Secretariat, said at least 130 people
Now, just a
were
heads
killed.
up, this is going to be a very intense video. And this is something that I hope we never have to go through, but sadly, it's a reality for many people. A teacher was burnt alive while her students were forced to watch the whole thing. Now, this took place during the massacre in the Peshawar school, where around 140 children were killed. Now, question I want to ask you guys is, what was your favorite subject in school? So there was 9 Taliban gunmen that stormed the school in northwestern Pakistan, and this was labeled as the worst ever militant attack to hit the whole region. There's a source that told NBC that they burnt a teacher in front of the students in a classroom. Like, they literally set her on fire with gasoline and made the kids watch.
कौन जाग जाए बस कर दे यार बड़े जनाजे तो हमारी है फिर और जनाजे नहीं तो जा सकते मुल्क में रहम कर दे अल्लाह हमें मुल्क में रहम कर दे अल्लाह हमें माफ कर दे अल्लाह मौला
इस जंग को उस वक्त तक जारी रखेंगे जब तक हमारी सरजमीन पर एक भी दहशतगर्द बाकी है। आज का ये इजलास उस जज्बे को तहसीन की नजर से देखता है जिसके तहत हुकूमत ने तमाम सियासी जमातों को एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर इकट्ठा होने का मौका दिया। दहशतगर्दी का हम भरपूर तरीके से और पूरी तरह से हर मुहाज पर हर जगह पर उसका मुकाबला करने के लिए आज गुफ्तगू हुई है। तो इंशाल्लाह उस प्लान में ये सारी चीजें खुलकर आपके सामने आएंगी।
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. This is Rappler's Wrap for the Day, a list of the most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At least 141 people are dead after 6 Taliban gunmen stormed a public school in northwest Pakistan Tuesday. Most of the dead were students, some as young as 12. The gunmen were killed when the military stormed the school following the attack. Most of the students are children of military personnel. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan group claims responsibility for the massacre in revenge for a major military offensive in the region. World leaders condemned the Taliban massacre as heinous and an act of horror. 16-year-old survivor Shahrukh Khan pretended to be dead after he was shot in both legs. He says, "I saw death so close, and I will never forget the black boots approaching me." Nobel Peace Laureate Malala Yousafzai, shot by the Taliban in 2012, said she was heartbroken by the senseless and cold-blooded
The people of
killing.
Pakistan were staggered today by the worst terror attack in at least 7 years. When it was over, scores of young students lay dead at the hands of Taliban gunmen. Chief Foreign Affairs correspondent Margaret Warner begins our coverage.
The wounded children were brought to a hospital in Peshawar, one after another. Some on stretchers, others in the arms of teachers or parents, their dark green school uniforms bloody. Most of the dead were students at a military-run school for 1st through 10th graders, along with 9 staffers. Classes were underway when the Taliban killers stormed in.
As soon as the firing started, our teacher made us sit in the corner and told us to lower our heads. After around an hour, army personnel came and rescued us. We saw in the corridors our friends who had been shot 3 or 4 times, some dead and some injured. Their blood had spilled all over the place.
Physics lab assistant. I am the physics lab assistant. We were sitting in the canteen. We saw 6 people climbing from the wall. We thought it must be the children playing some game, but then we saw a lot of firearms with them. They started firing at us, so we ran into the classrooms and closed the doors.
Army commandos ended the siege 8 hours later. Officials said 7 attackers, all wearing explosive vests, were killed. The Taliban attacks Pakistani schools frequently, but never on the scale of today's slaughter. The Pakistani Taliban claimed it was in retaliation for a new government military offensive in North Waziristan. That's a tribal area west of Peshawar, used as a base by Taliban and other extremist groups to launch terror attacks in both Pakistan and Afghanistan. For years, the United States had urged Pakistan's government to clear out the safe haven, to no effect. But in June, after a militant assault on Karachi's international airport that killed dozens, Pakistani forces launched a concerted campaign in North Waziristan and recently boasted of killing nearly 2,000 militants there. Rushing to Peshawar today, Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif vowed the military offensive will not falter.
You're absolutely right, and I pressed the defense minister about that. I said, who is your main enemy? Is it India, or do you admit that it is these extremists, these jihadis, this Taliban? And he said, there is no doubt about it. While we may have complicated relations with various countries on our borders, the biggest threat to peace, the biggest threat to Pakistan are these jihadis, is the Taliban. But as many people have said, if this kind of massive attack on the military's own children doesn't spur a full-scale forward march and change of tune, really, then practically nothing will, Anderson.
And I mean, they have...
I now urge you to hold a 2-minute silence wherever you are listening to me. Just keep quiet for 2 minutes and feel for the parents who lost their children. Anand here. We are slightly in a somber mood. We'll change it. But really, we need to pay homage to the families that have sacrificed their lives. If it brings the world together, we don't care what religion, we don't care what geography, we don't care. These were children who wanted to be educated. Their parents sent them with lunch boxes and nice sweet ties and green jackets to a military school where they went just to study. That's all the fault of the children was. They went to study. And look what the Taliban did to them. The worst thing they did was burn their headmistress in front of them. How can those children ever recover from that? We talk about the Holocaust, we talk about the world wars. World War III is still going on. Anyway, we are now in the studio with our lovely Christine Deponio. But, let her be introduced by my wonderful friend, Wheelchair Steve. Hi, Wheelchair Steve. How are you?
Good afternoon, everybody. We're back again. It was no show last week. The doc had more important things to do than look after me.
Excuse me, I was talking to the Queen.
All right.
No, I wasn't talking to the Queen. Like, it was Amar Mirza talking to the Queen.
Yes. Did you see the Queen? Did she say
of course.
Did you curtsy to her?
Well, her poodle bit me, but enough of that.
We'll hear about that later.
Okay, yeah.
We've got a very special show today. This is the final one of this year, because of on the Thursday anyway, when I'll be here, because it's Christmas Day next week and I'm not coming, and then New Year's Day.
I sadly, I'm such a sad guy. I am coming because I don't have kids in the house. I don't have a Christmas tree. Right. I bought 10 cheap Christmas cards and I forgot to give one of them. I'm quite bad at rituals, you know.
So anyway, as far as my last show of the year, and it's great to be back, and we'll bring back Christine Deponio, who, if you listened 2 weeks ago, was telling us a great story about how she'd overcome the challenge.
Blind Courage.
Blind Courage is the book that she'll tell you about in a little while. But she'd come back from a troubled childhood, and she became blind at the age of 16.
So she has seen a lot before she went blind.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And
okay.
a lot of not good things, as we're here. But then she bounces back and sees her religion, sees God, and sets on a fantastic mission to create a home called Emmanuel House in Gateshead, which is her own home. And she welcomes people there to get respite. And
so Christine is the main theme, but we also have to the right of you.
We have Mick.
See, I'm a doctor. I can tell which is your right and your
on my right. Christine is on my left.
Yes.
Mick is on my right, for those that aren't very clear on the video. Mick is regular in here as well.
Yes.
That's how we originally met. Mick met you.
And he survived a horrible adulthood being a policeman.
Yes,
and now he's better. I used to be a doctor. Now I'm better.
we all have our faults. Though.
Yes.
Mick's got
a
yes. He actually stole somebody else's car as well, if he told us that.
Yes,
okay, so Christine, say something for yourself. Otherwise it sounds like, does he take sugar?
Well, hello everybody. You know, I'm sitting here with just mad people like you. And I was telling everyone, this show, I have never been to such a radio show in all my life. And I was telling everybody about you, Doc. Just saying, they must have thrown the mould away when they made you.
No. God's hands got burnt, you know. But Christine, today is a show just about you, primarily, because we all are amazed at your blind courage. In fact, I hold a book in my hand called Blind Courage. And this is for the camera, by the way. Blind Courage. How did you write this book? Did you dictate it?
I dictated it, yes. I had 2 tape recorders going at the same time. And then I have a son who eventually put it onto computer.
Wow.
And he would read it back to us. And it wasn't
make sure.
To make sure it wasn't as easy as that. There was a lot of wiping out. And then when you hear yourself saying what you're saying, you think, no, I've repeated, I've done
You're
this.
so lucky you didn't have to learn spelling.
Yeah, there was an awful...
There's some good in everything, you know.
There was an awful lot to do.
Okay. So today's your show, and what we are hoping to raise is some funds for your, and to support your immense courage. Okay. Can I start by donating £10 to your cause?
Okay. Oh, lovely. Thank you.
So there you are. It comes from the heart. Sadly, it comes from my pocket as well. So how do you run your place, man? You're blind. You had a bitter childhood. I won't say bitter. Bitter things were done to you, but they never got you, did they? You're still the tough little bugger that you always were.
Yes,
Sorry, I shouldn't use the word bugger. But
I am.
You are. You're tough. You're a deponio, you know.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people, you know, will say to us, Christine, what a strong person you are. But it's funny, I've never saw myself as strong.
You are as you are.
I'll be into, I am as I am.
Yes.
And I think I'm a walking, whatever you want to call it, to just prove that what you can do and what you can over.
Well, you came into the studio. You open the door for Steve, and you're blind, and he's in a wheelchair. I'm sorry, I don't have an obvious disability except for being brown-skinned, you know.
Right.
And then you remove the little rug that was a health hazard.
Yes.
So in a way, you see more than other people.
I think I do. Yes.
I've got a friend called Saqib in the Pakistan Cultural Society, and he became a lawyer in Pakistan, where Urdu Braille still doesn't exist. Braille is there for English people.
Yeah.
But in Urdu or Hindi, I don't know whether it exists or doesn't. But he's a lawyer, so how the hell did he pass it?
Gosh.
He's a good musician.
Amazing.
But I mean, music doesn't need any eyes, does it?
No.
If you're looking at music, it's poor quality.
That's right.
You know, Madonna and all that.
Yeah.
If you didn't make the videos, maybe the songs wouldn't sell.
I always believe where there's a will, there's a way. You know, and you adapt and you find your own way.
Well, sorry, my parents are very poor. Where there's a will, there's a way, man. I'm cracking a bad joke. Okay, so yes. So how about giving her the guitar and let's hear a song straight from her. While you're preparing that, and there's a song running. I don't know why. Is that you?
That's me. Yes, singing.
There is always a reason for what happens in our lives.
You've got a beautiful voice.
Britain's Got Talent.
And Spice has got talent in the studio.
These songs are wrote from the heart. It's just, I had a nervous breakdown at the time, actually. I don't know a thing about music.
You were in Stannington.
You wrote these songs, did you?
I wrote these and composed these songs, and I don't know a thing about music. They were wrote about 25 years ago.
So did you use reading books to understand the Bible?
No,
because
no.
it's a very Christian song, isn't it?
Nothing. It's very Christian. I was ill at the time. I'd had a breakdown. I'd been rushed to hospital. I had one little boy, and then I had my second little boy who was only 18 months old at the time. And when I came home, I was really down again in the depths of despair. I had been nursing my husband for 5.5 years, who almost died again, and I couldn't believe that all this was happening. And then all of a sudden, I just felt the need to grab a tape recorder, grab my guitar, and the next minute music and words and everything was just flowing.
Now, whether you call it a visit from the Holy Spirit, or whether you call it spiritual awakening,
I feel the Holy Spirit,
or whether you call it that defining, it just doesn't matter, does it? It
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter whether it's Allah or Krishna or Jesus. It just doesn't matter. People make so much about their brand of religion and kill each other for that. You know, I'm very happy you've done what you've done. You know, I'm delighted and I can experience it. When I go to Goa, I always visit the body of Francis Xavier. I know he came to India to convert everyone to Christianity, but that's his problem. But he's there and it touches me, you know, because these are holy people. Mother Teresa inspires me.
Yeah.
AD in Pakistan, he's a charity worker. He takes nothing, he just gives. These kind of people just kind of, it's lovely to meet them. Tell me, who inspired you? Something must have touched you in the real world, outside world.
I feel that God inspired me really more than anything.
But what kind of pain did you need to be pushed it towards God?
I was just in the depths. I was practically lying on the floor. I just felt my life was, I actually thought I was going to die. And I didn't want to die because
Did you ever feel like committing suicide?
I never felt like committing suicide, but I never wanted to wake up each day.
So, okay. So you never put it into motion, but you say, why be alive?
Yes, why be alive? What was the point of it all?
And suddenly you found a reason.
And I felt a reason, you know, for really living. I had to push on to live for my husband. I needed to live for my children. But there was just still so much abuse and control in my life from my mother, who was still alive then. And I found life difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we will not talk about the negatives that, I mean, with the recent happenings in Peshawar, we're also sad and so on. So why don't you play something of your choice, something you love and something you want to? And if you know the words, Debbie, should we join? Join.
Yeah.
It's like Stadler and Stadler and Waldorf on Muppet. Yeah, we'll join in.
Well, I'd like to do this song, and then you'll all know this one. This is Harry Belafonte many years ago.
Harry Belafonte, the black guy from West Indies.
And I absolutely love this song.
Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower.
Well, this one's Try to Remember. And this is the song I actually sang when I went to Metro the Musical. I was chosen for Metro the Musical.
Gosh, you've been places I haven't been.
To do Try to Remember. Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and gallant fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow, 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 follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, although we know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, without a hurt, the heart is hollow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fire of September that was so mellow. Deep in December, our heart should remember, then follow, 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 follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fire of September that was mellow. deep in December, our heart should remember. Then follow, 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 follow.
Hooray! She's a pro, man.
Simon Cowell has just turned up.
She's pro, man. She's bloody good. You are bloody good. You know, you don't have the distraction of the eyes.
No, exactly.
So I think people who are not gifted with eyesight are lucky in the sense that they are looking more inside, because we're so distracted. The eyes, Rod Stewart said, the eyes are the prostitute of the senses. You know, it just takes us here, takes us there, takes us. It's true, isn't it?
Yes.
Why should music be visual? It's an auditory art. It's a yin thing. It's a soft feminine thing. And we turn it into what we look like and how big the instruments are. This is much more moving than some recording studio with a million faders and all. What's all that about? Nonsense. And written music, that really irritates me. You know, written music is for blind people, really. It's somebody else writing it. I love you, man. You made your own music, your own voice, your own guitar.
And I play my own way, and I haven't been taught. I just my own.
But that is your song. It's not Bach and Beethoven. What they've written is fine, but you can't interpret it. It's just repetitive. It was nice once, but I can't stand all that. You know, written music and it's in. I've got perfect pitch. So what does that mean? Oh, I can sing C without looking. So I can urinate without using my hands. You know, so what? You know, what's the big deal, man?
We'll now have a demonstration of that.
Not in the studio, darling.
Not today.
Not today. So, yeah, so we are collecting funds and we are promoting the work of through our lovely lady, Christine Deponio. And it's Christmas time and you're Christine. How amazing that the two words match.
I was named after Christmas because my birthday is not far away.
When the hell is it?
30th of December.
Oh, okay, 30th December. We'll send you... are you on Facebook or anything like that?
Yes, I am.
Do you want to explain, Christine, for those that didn't listen last time, what it is that you've got set up in Emmanuel House?
Yes, Emmanuel House.
Emmanuel, spelled
E-M-M-A-N-U-E-L,
Emmanuel House.
Yes, meaning God is with us. I really felt God directed me into holistic therapies. I'm an alternative and complementary therapist and I've done that for many years, but I trained for 6 years. And I felt God really laid on my heart that he wanted me to go out and to care for those who were terminally ill and those who were living with cancer. So I've actually worked...
Why cancer? Why did cancer attract you so much?
It didn't attract me. That's where I
You were impelled to do it.
I was impelled to do it.
You couldn't stop but doing it.
I couldn't. I was impelled to do it. So I ended up working in St. Bede's Hospice at Dunstan Hill. And I also was in the Queen Elizabeth for 6 years as well.
Helping people?
Yes, helping. I was on
with cancer?
Yeah, with cancer and terminally ill. I was on the chemotherapy ward. I did everything. I did amputees. I was in high dependency. People heard about my work.
So when you say you did, what did you do to them?
I used to massage. I used to relax them and let them...
And I remind you, listeners, we are talking to a blind person.
Yeah,
okay.
I used to take the radio in and I would talk to them. And I think people want to feel human and just that one-to-one and hold their hand to explain, don't worry.
To be connected?
To be connected, yes. And I used to say, oh, wow, I can't wait for this. Nice to relax them.
Because you touched them, literally. But more than that, emotionally you touched them. Spiritually you touched them.
Yes, because I inspired them. Because some of them had gave up hope. Because some...
Okay, let me be totally obnoxious. I am a Hindu and you're a Christian. And you touch me, will I feel better? I'm just being provocative.
Yeah.
Of course I'll feel better.
Yes.
People forget these things, People are so stuck in their religion.
That's
Mike,
right.
what do you think?
That's right.
Everybody needs that connection. Physical connection. Just something simple like holding somebody's hand can bring so much comfort to a person. It's unbelievable.
It's the human touch that you're talking about.
It's the human touch I'm talking about. I've dealt with pain control, lots of different things that doctors couldn't control at all, and it would send for me. Because again, I think when you're with somebody, you're that one-to-one, you hold their hands,
feel loved.
Touch, they
feel loved.
Yes.
And in the West, we think love is sex.
Yeah.
Love making is sex. No, love is love and sex is sex. Sex could be a part of love and love could be a part of sex. But the two are different items.
And I would ask how they feel. Tell me how you feel. Anything you want to talk about.
So you're really concerned and bothered.
I was concerned because I felt God placed each person into my hands to give them the quality of life and the time. If they needed 4 hours
so you're
of my
lucky
time.
to be able to give that.
Yes, very lucky.
Isn't it? Instead of saying, look how clever I am. Like a doctor would, I've got a PhD in this and PhD. Yeah. You're the guy who heals them by touching them.
Yes, just being there, massage and reflex, and they would go to sleep for hours. And I think that whatever they needed, that God would meet their needs, whether it was to sleep, whether it was to feel good or whatever afterwards.
Could it be that you remind them of their mother when they were babies?
I don't know. I really don't know. But when I used to go back the following day, they felt so much better and they healed better and they were out of hospital quicker.
There's an Indian guy in California called Deepak Chopra. He's born 7 days after me, but he talks the same language as me. Actually, I copy him. It's the other way around. Yes. He has taken chemotherapy people and put them in a different hospital, and they're getting the same chemical and they stop vomiting. You know, because the neuroassociative state, the children or the adult is associating pain with going into that ward. If I go to Freeman Hospital and I get a parking ticket, I would not like to go to that hospital ever again. You know what I mean? It's nothing to do. It's nothing to do with the nurses or the quality of care. But we associate things, isn't it? One bad experience in one ASDA, and we'll start going to a different ASDA, isn't it? So the human aspect, the soft touch, which we ignore a lot of, isn't it? I mean, you've been a policeman as a young policeman. Would you agree with me?
100%.
You represent the whole police, Northumbria Police, as one individual.
Give you a sort of situation. You put a policeman into a rowdy situation and he is likely to escalate. You put a policewoman into the same rowdy situation and the chances are
because
it will come down.
In front of a lady, they'll behave.
It'll come down. Not always.
No.
But it'll come
it's
down.
more likely to.
Yes, you're more likely to be able to control it.
In the stock exchange places, they put motherly women, not slim, slick, attractive, sexy women, motherly types. And the whole place calms down because they see, oh, you can't talk like that. You can't use 4-letter words in front of her. And actually, you're right, you know. And so, you know, Christine, you're like a Mother Teresa there.
But it's like, isn't touch like when you're a baby and you're comforted and you get your head stroked? When you start getting into medical things, because I got involved with medical things from an early age with the spina bifida that I had, but you start getting alien things like needles being stuck into you and tubes everywhere, and that's what puts you out of comfort. So I think it doesn't matter what age you are, if you can start getting back to the comforting stuff that you did when you were a baby, which you're
just a human touch.
It's just a human touch, and you're not alienated by the negative things.
It works wonders.
Our society is getting so fractious and so worried about touching of children and so on that every male adult is a pedophile. Out to every Santa Claus is a pedophile nowadays.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Yes.
Isn't it?
What is this nonsense? You know, I'm standing there. I don't have a daughter, but if I had a daughter and put him in Santa Claus's lap, I'm putting the child with the full knowledge that he's a decent guy with no other intention except to make his grandchild happy. It's so weird, you know. Bessie Williams was telling me that when she shoots movies and all, the parents come as an escort. The grandparents can't. You have to rent people who are police checked. It's so daft, man. It's so
mad.
The world has gone nutty, and love is the opposite of fear, isn't it? We live in fear. Okay, let's listen to another bit of your song. Who's playing the piano there?
It's a guy who I knew called Les Watts. And he backed me in the piano.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. What do you guys think of her singing? I read like... I didn't know whether local Geordie lass. It isn't a ward lass. I thought it's some poshy in London. Like
it was like when you first saw what's her name, Susan Boyle, when she went on the X Factor, and they looked at her and they're thinking, oh, what's coming on here? We've got someone in it. So we're having negative vision. You know, where people get that perception. Oh, here's a blind lady. We'll have to feel sorry for her. She'll stick a guitar in her hand. She might sing something. And then what you produced was just fantastic.
Yes.
And there's a style in the voice that is distinctive, I thought. That
And you've never studied music?
Nothing at all.
Thank God for that.
No.
Because, you know,
No.
There's a chance for me yet, because I was rubbish at school and music and all the
this fellow
quavers and things.
This fellow says to the doctor, will I be able to play the piano after the operation? He said, yes. He said, thank God for that. I've never paid for a piano lesson. But more seriously, if you have to learn music, it's not music. If you have to learn religion, it's not religion. It has to come from within. If you can read it in books, it's rubbish. I totally believe that. You know, my music is the best I can do. Obviously, you need some props sometime. You need to admire some hero. I admire Ravi Shankar. I admire Bob Dylan. But it's more important to practice and make yourself like Bob Dylan, isn't it? So if you're going to read religion and say, Jesus, this happened on this day, chapter, this chapter, that chapter, it's a load of rubbish, man. Yeah. I want to see how you practice as a Christian. If you're Christ-like in your attitude, if you're forgiving, if you're kind, if you're compassionate, if you don't judge, you're the best Christian I've met. And if you're sitting like the Pope judging me, then do I care? No. So it's the same with music. I think whether it's music or religion or the health service or any job as a policeman. I mean, the books account for something. But your real practice is how you're good on the road.
I always remember, going back 25 years ago, I could have arrested somebody who had arrested before. And I took them to one side and I said, you've got 4 weeks. He says, for what? I says, I'm putting this paperwork away. You've got 4 weeks to get a job. And he came back after 4 weeks and he had a job. And that was 25 years ago. Wow. And that man's been on the straight and narrow for 25 years.
So how much does your heart feel good that you had the opportunity to use your discretion and you made a man's life instead of...
I made that decision. If I went to my bosses, I would have gotten probably my backside kicked. But 25 years down the line, he's still working hard. He's never been in trouble since. And he's doing really well for himself. That has got to be the pinnacle of my police career.
Well, in a very small way, I got a phone call from a chap called Chris, who's from Poland. Okay, that's okay too. He's not a plumber. That's okay too. He came on a course to be employed. And, you know, we video before and after the course, or during the course, in the beginning and the end. And he said, in my country, I said, stop. This is your country. Enough of my country. And I said, how many years have you been here? He said, 10 years. I said, I'm falling off my chair, man. You talk as if you just come from Poland yesterday. So, but I got to know him because of my brutal honesty. I got to know the guy. He says, Doc, the second film, can you make it for me on DVD? I said, yeah. Yesterday he came to the studio to pick it up. I said, I will not give it to you unless you tell me the truth. Why do you want it? And he went very coy and shy. He said, I'm going to my home tonight, and I'll take this to show my mom that, you know, I'm on courses. I can talk to English people, okay. And I filmed it with someone you know, Alan Curry.
Yes.
Alan Curry was the decoy interviewing him, and I was filming him. So it's quite a powerful thing.
Well, we saw them last week. He went upstairs with you last week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you were there. Yes.
Well, it's fascinating.
That blonde guy, so he's taken it home. Now, that kind of connection works, the human contact. Mm-hmm. He could write so many CVs. He could tell you he's the best this and best that and so on and so forth. But the real human touch that Christine talks about, you know, that is what it's about. Yeah. For that, you don't even need eyes.
No, definitely not.
It comes from the heart, doesn't it?
Yes.
You get to know the person. You can almost feel the vibes of positivity and confidence.
And even sorrow, you know. I mean, yesterday I did the show. I went home. Stupidly, I put on the television, Indian television. And they're showing boots filled with blood, ties that are besmirched with blood, walls. This is talking about the massacre in Peshawar. I felt so bad. I just phoned two of my best friends. I phoned Syed and I said, I don't know what to do. I don't feel like going to the Christmas party. I texted the Tyneside Speakers Club and said, I don't feel like party. I've seen so much of bloodshed. I can't hack it, you know. And they said, fine. And I went and sat with Syed and had a fish with him. And I felt better because I needed... I was grieving, you know. Yeah. And if I, as a non-Pakistani, non-Muslim, non-Peshawari, and sitting in UK, can feel so bad, how do you think the parents are feeling?
I was grieving, and I think everybody must have been grieving. It was just horrendous.
You know,
horrendous when you've got children.
You've got to ask yourself, what
is it all about?
What is it all? How can these people actually justify?
That's right.
Where does the justification?
Can I give you the exact opposite answer that I have come to? If I was born in that family, in that uneducated family, was extremely poor, had no significance, was one of 12 children, no Western education, then everybody who doesn't have a beard and doesn't look like me is an enemy. And anybody who wears a tie and speaks English is a non-Muslim. I'm talking from the Taliban's point of view.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be a Taliban. I really think it's the education. What Malala is doing is it, you know. And there are a lot of people who laugh at her in Newcastle. And one fellow I had spoken to, and we got chatting. He's a beautiful singer. And somehow Malala's topic, he said, oh, we'll send her to the Taliban. And 2 hours later, the Taliban thing happened. So when I'm on the show, I hope I can have the guts to ask him, would you like to send her to Taliban still? So people have these little, and I also call it Stockholm Syndrome. If you're scared of somebody, you become like them. Sure. I mean, I wouldn't like to be one of the fellows held up by that crazy guy in Australia, Sydney.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Did you see the Chinese woman when she ran? She ran for her life. And And I'm saying, go on, man, go on, run faster, run faster, run faster. I think it's excess of religion, of one religion, no other knowledge about nothing, a lot of Western technology in the hands like AK-47 and all that, and mobile phones, which is made by not of their faith. And they just, I mean, their head is bursting with this.
You want to do something though, don't you? But you haven't got a clue what to do because you don't understand the thinking. That's the difficulty. I mean, you mentioned earlier on, Christine, about the why. Why is this happening to me? And you can do the same question.
Well, why did the Crusades happen? I know. Why were witches burnt at the stakes? Why in North Korea have they banned a movie which makes fun of the king there? So what? You can say anything about Indians and Hindus and I don't care. You know, you're dirtying your own mouth by talking like that. Why would I say any anti-Christian thing? I mean, I spoof a lot, but I have nothing against Jesus Christ, for God's sake. For Christ's sake, you know. But if I say for Christ's sake, you laugh. But other people are so frightened that he'll say something blasphemy.
Yeah. I mean, I remember growing up in this area, I went to the English Martyrs Catholic school on Netherby Drive.
My heart goes to you, because I went to a Catholic school too. Any of you went to a Catholic school?
No. And along the road, you had Stocksfield Avenue, which was the Protestant school, CV.
Really?
Yeah. And, you know, it was a case of, oh, there go the proddy dogs. You know, proddy dogs, Protestants. You know, there go the and it was what was
so what is Celtic, whatever it is, and Rangers? One is Catholic. How can football have a religion?
It's ridiculous.
It's just the same stupidity. Because I think if you overdo religion, it's like a cancer.
It is, I agree.
It's okay to have your religion.
But as long as you don't go over the top. And I think you have
No, I mean, you be as Christian as you like, man. Yeah. But you have to be attractive to me. Yeah. See, your culture shows, your religion doesn't show. Religion should be inside your pocket. You come and sit here.
You know, I remember. You know,
who do we have in the studio?
This is Angus. Happy legs, man.
Hello, everybody.
Grown his Santa Claus beard for Christmas.
Yeah, he's got very...
Do you mind if I touch his legs?
He'd be very happy if you touch his legs.
my name Anand means happy.
All right.
So he's Mr. Legs. So if I married him, I'd be Anand Legs. Anyway.
Well, I rang one or two people that had been on the show before since I started coming on. I tried to get Davey, but he's busy doing something. Actually, not very far away. He's doing some schoolwork. I rang Angus and I said, "Are you going to come in and support Christine?" Yeah. I don't know if you had the radio on, Angus, listening to the fantastic song that.
We are all making £10 donations to her today.
That's fine.
Okay, so there you are. Another 10 will come for you. So, Christine, you met Christine?
No.
No, Christine has a horrendous childhood. She went blind. She went crazy. She found faith. And now she's running Emmanuel House, which is for cancer. She's not even registered with the Stupid Charities Commission. She does her own thing.
Reading about this?
Well, that's her.
Yeah, I put my life savings into it, and I just feel God laid on my heart that I was to open a very unique place where people can come, literally in time of need, off the streets to knock on the door and come in with their families.
Was this something in the journal about this?
It's been in the papers a lot and on TV, yeah. And I've just felt that God wanted me to dedicate my whole life to the people, so I've transformed my home.
Which God?
My God. Well, just, you know.
I'm purposely raising the point, you know. There's a fellow from, originally from the same country that idiot was from in Sydney, Iran, my friend Siamak. And the first time in my life I meet this guy and he says, "Doc, do you believe in football or do you believe in football teams?" I said, "I believe in faith. Religion is a way to faith. Religion is a stepping stone to grow up and grow beyond religion. If you're stuck in religion, you're stuck." So can you imagine? I mean, it's like two wise men talking to each other, you know, in parables. So did you go to a Catholic school?
No.
Did you go to a Catholic school? Did you go to a Catholic school?
No, children.
Only two of us did, you know. No, what did the Catholic school teach you, though? What good did you get from it, Mick?
I got an aversion, I would say, to
religion.
Church.
In your case, yeah.
Because every Friday, you were marched across to the English Martyrs Church, and you then had to lie to the priest because you had to. You had
to lie with the priest.
No, you had to lie to the priest.
No, I thought you had to lie down with the priest.
You had to lie to the priest because you had to give a confession. And at the age of 11...
You don't have anything to confess.
You got to confess, so you made up things to tell him because you had to tell him something.
Teacher, when I had a pee, I didn't wash my hands. Is that the kind of thing?
I told lies to me, mum. You know, I swore in the playground. And
you create all this.
You create it all. And then, so really...
And you're thinking negatives, aren't you?
You're going against confession because you're committing a sin.
Isn't that what the Taliban are doing? They are so religious that other Muslims are not good enough because they are reading something beyond the Quran. Yes. Isn't that what it's about?
Well, that's what it's about.
They're so good that they killed school children.
You can use this on anyone. It's filming. Okay. So that's why they are against education, because Western education is very bad because it's not from the Quran. For God's sakes, the Prophet himself said, for education, go to China. What does that mean? China is a pig-eating country. What he's saying is value knowledge. But people can't see the meaning of it. They just literally take something. And it was written, 800 AD or something. Books are relevant to the time they are written in. And the truth inside, the nugget of truth may be true, but the practice may be different, And people say music is haram and using the mobile phone is haram. Well, all the terrorists are using mobile phones and satellite phones made by non-Muslims. How should they? Why do they? So this is the hypocrisy I stand up against. And this is an overdose of religion, not enough education and poverty and no significance. This is all it's about, And I tell you, if I was born in that family, I'd have a big beard and I'd be shooting children. Because you go crazy. If you go to St. Nicholas Hospital and live among crazy people, even if you're normal today, so-called normal today, you'll become like that, When my son was very ill before he committed suicide, he was in Royal Infirmary in Scotland. The psychiatrist looked the nuttiest, She was wearing revealing clothes. She was a young woman and she had some jingle bells on. It's not even Christmas time. This was around August. I thought, you're nuts, And then my son wasn't kept away from everyone. I mean, okay, there's time to meet, but all the time they're bombarding each other with each other's rubbish. Do you see what I'm saying? If you're with wolves, you become a wolf. If you're with humans, you become a human.
Well, you run with the pack, don't you?
Yes.
That's exactly what you do. You run with the pack.
Yes.
And it's exactly the same with kids on the street. If they're in the area and they're hanging around the area, they'll eventually get brought into...
Yeah. You fit in.
You fit in. You've got to fit in.
So it needs a lot of courage to be different. And the book is called Blind Courage because she is blind and she's massive courageous. Do you know what the word courage divides into? Cor and agi. The word cor means heart. Coronary. Cor, pulmonary. Cor in Latin or Greek, one of those languages, means heart. And agi means fire. Just as in Sanskrit, agni means fire. So it's fire in your heart.
Learn something new every day.
You just sit with another. I'm the Brun Jodi,
Yes.
I am from India. I'm a Swamiji.
It'll be interesting to see on Sunday what happens with the Newcastle Sunderland, because this Malaysian MH17 has touched a lot of hearts in both sides, and they're trying to sort of say, well, that we're going to try and pull it together instead of the fighting and punching horses and things that they were doing a few years ago. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
There's been a call on Facebook for a standing ovation for the Sunderland fans who raised that as a 32,000.
Something like that, yeah.
And they said, it's half time, let's stand up and give all these fans a standing ovation to say thank you for the help and the support and the love you've showed.
Yeah. Well, if there were no fans, there'd be no football. I mean, there would be football in the alleys, but not on these.
It's not. I mean, I worked the football matches for a lot of years in the police, and it's not the core fans
that's the danger.
It is a small minority
who possibly don't even go to the match.
The majority of them.
Are you talking about football or the Taliban?
I'm talking about.
It's the same story.
It's the same story.
I've got a lot of Muslim friends who are absolute gentlemen who keep the religion in their heart.
It's the significant majority. Who
actually practice what they have been told. And the big preachers are the fake ones who need to shout. Now, I don't keep telling my dad's good, my dad's good, my dad's good, because my dad is good. But if I was not sure, I would keep preaching that my dad's the best dad in the world. I mean, out of context. The same with football, the same with religion. And that is why I compare this few rowdy minority with the Taliban, except thankfully your rowdy minority don't have AK-47s and bombs. Not yet. Okay. So, Angus, what have you been up to?
Oh.
Apart from your happy legs.
Well,
where's your security blanket?
I didn't bring one in.
Oh, shall we send him out? He promised to bring us a blanket, but never mind. No, we would have talked about your blanket, but someday do. Yeah. Someday do bring and show us what it is.
I will. I definitely will.
Okay.
Yes, I called into the station the other day, didn't I? Because there was a jumble sale.
Yes.
To raise some money for a school in Kenya. And I would like to thank, from the bottom of my heart, the five people that turned up. The 5 people that turned up.
5?
The 5 people that turned up. And in particular, the 3 that bought anything.
Okay.
But as it happened, we did raise £30 from the 3 people that came. And then my wife and I heard that there's actually a place in Gateshead where you can donate clothes. And they will buy the clothes at 70 pence a kilo.
In Condacum Road, at the bottom of the left
there's
side.
more than one, yeah, there's more than one.
Yeah.
But the only one that was open on Saturday was the one in Gateshead.
It wasn't a Jewish shop.
I've got no idea.
Only been teasing.
They didn't speak English. They knew what to say, take, no take, when they went through the bags of clothes.
They're not from Patna, my town. No. Me speaking no English.
Well, very kindly, we took a lot of bags of clothes which had been kindly donated by everybody, and we made about £45.
So 30. So you got $75.
Yeah.
But $75 goes a very long distance in Kenya, I guess.
It does.
You know, so we are not despondent about the $75.
No, it all helps. It all helps.
For the amount you put in, you could have put in £75 of your own tax-paid money. But it's the effort. Yeah. It's the effort of working to a goal that matters, not the exact cash.
Well, there's 2 benefits. One is we raised some money to go towards the charity and the Kenya project. And secondly, the clothes will end up being worn by people who can't afford to buy clothes.
So instead of throwing clothes in a bin liner, it's good to donate. I mean, Britain is one of the most charitable countries, isn't it?
I think it comes with our nature. I think.
So why are the British people so naturally charitable?
It could.
They are. I mean, the fact is they are.
I think we want to help.
The world's biggest charity started, Oxfam, Rotary and all that kind of thing is very strong here.
It could be that because really, to be British, in all honesty, you've got to be multicultural. We are going right back to, your Celts, your Scots, your Picts, your Angles, your Saxons, your Normans, the Vikings.
The Yemeni people in South Shields. Dr. Anand in Newcastle.
But we are so into bread. It's unbelievable.
You're into bread?
Yes. Have you heard bread? Do you like bread? Eggs. There's an advert.
I thought you were talking about into metro, into bread.
Into bread.
Eggs are going to bring 10 quid into
Well, if you are very pure and pure breed, you die out and develop much more abnormalities. If you marry your cousin, the child you produce is twice as likely to have abnormal things like microcephaly, heart in the wrong side, and so on. So it's called incest. So Britain is not incestuous. It goes, conquers and brings women back and men back, and therefore we all size and shapes. I think it's an important point you're raising, that and the English language is so rich. I mean, I know the ones from India, like Pandit, jungle, pajama. These are all words. So it's not the wealth, it's the culture that you imbibe from different places.
And we take it all in.
I mean, Newcastle particularly, man.
If you think going back to the 50s and 60s, the main thing on a Friday or Saturday night was fish and chips. And now if you ask anybody what you're going to go for to eat on a Friday or Saturday night, it's good to go for a curry or to go for a Chinese.
So what all do we have?
It changes.
So we have Bangladeshi.
We accept people for
Bangladeshi men making Pakistani music, food, and selling it off as Indian food. It basically
multicultural.
You got Chinese people selling Japanese food on Stawell Street as Japanese, and they're Filipino cooks actually. So this multicultural, opposite here, you got fish and chips made by 2 Indians and 1 Pakistani. Just across here, Mickey and Rafiq. So Britain is subconsciously, we are used to that idea.
It.
Yes. And I think the more multicultural we stay, the more we develop and grow and accept and love. But the more we try to purify, the ideal type of people.
I think.
Sorry, did I say ideal? I meant idiot kind of people.
The knee jerk that we're getting at the moment, I think, is not against sort of accepting people in foreign cultures. It's not the culture itself. It is natural fact. The radical part of the culture.
Yeah.
We don't want to see.
Oh, yeah. I want to see.
But that's the media, isn't it? They hear about it. All the troubles, we're talking on about the they're not sitting a child on
Santa's knees. Yeah.
Now, it's no different now. In fact, it's probably safer now than it was years ago.
Yes,
when
yes.
we took it for granted.
Well, we're in the post-Jimmy Savile area.
Well, that's the thing. You publicise a very small minority, Jimmy Savile and one or two others.
The artist fellow, the Australian fellow.
But then everybody thinks everybody of that age that looks like that is exactly the same.
Well, every doctor is not shipment, man.
Well, that's it.
But it takes a shipment to bring the socks up, because there are rogue doctors as well who didn't kill, who raped, who groped. And I know lots of them who verbally groped. I've worked with them.
They used to get paranoid at this time of year about road accidents. Can you remember, Mick, when you remember from the police days, they used to publish
drink drive.
Well, it wasn't just drink drive. Any accidents, because a lot of it was drink related.
Snow, ice.
But they used to always publish numbers around about Christmas, and yet the numbers were probably no different to any other day.
Yeah.
You know,
so is it
you highlight, and then you think, oh God, I'm not going to drive the car.
It's just for the scare, isn't it?
It is, and it scares people. That's the thing. People think that's all the time.
Fear-mongering.
And then they
need that. Sometimes you need that fear-mongering
to raise profile.
To raise the profile.
Okay.
To get people to be aware. And
okay. So coming back to Christine, who's run away from the mic. Christine, come back to the mic, please. Bring back, oh, bring back my deponio to me. My border, the ocean. Deponio lies over the sea. Bring back my pony
I'm
to me.
here.
Yes, okay.
I think we should have another song, do you think?
Yeah, I think we should have another song.
Okay.
So how can people donate money to your cause while you have that warm water to drink?
If they want to make checks or anything payable to Emmanuel House, you know.
Emmanuel, E-M-M-A-N-U-E-L.
That's right.
Emmanuel House. What's your website?
It's Emmanuel House. With a hyphen in the middle between the Emmanuel and the house. Emmanuel-house.co.uk.
So www.emmanuel-house.co.uk, and you can find the contacts and you can send the checks to the right place. Or else, how can you can
We've
come
got,
to...
My address, I think, is on there as well.
Tell us your address.
I think my address is 44 Rothbury Gardens.
Rothbury Gardens.
Lobley Hill. Gateshead, Tyne and Weir.
Postcode?
NE11. 080.
080.
80, yes. And all the money raised is going to the 3 holiday homes that I run and have.
So tell us about what you run with the money. I mean,
at Emmanuel House.
What will happen to the stupendous amount of money I've given you this morning? How will you use it? I have a right to know. I'm a shareholder.
We'll get chips and gravy in the
Okay, tell us.
Every penny at the moment. I mean, as I say, it's my home. I pay all the bills. If people have to come in taxis, I pay for the taxis. I pay for everything that runs at Emmanuel.
Are you a millionaire?
No, I'm not. But I feel that...
Do you rob the bank? How do you get so much money, man?
Well, I feel what money I have...
is not yours.
Is not mine. It belongs to the people, and we have to share everything that
See, if money circulates, it has a meaning. It's like electricity. You know, if electricity doesn't circulate, it doesn't exist. So I've got a lot of poor friends with lots of money in the bank. And you know who you are. I'm talking to you. You, and even you. These guys have loads of money. They've got massive drives to their house. Nobody comes. They've got lots of petrol in the car. They have nowhere to go to. And all they go to is doctors, solicitors, and barristers. That's all they are about. You make lots of money and then spend the rest of your life trying to get your health back.
But I feel what I have doesn't belong to me. It was given by God, and I have to share it. I have to share it all, everything that I have, you know. As long as I have enough food put on the table
you
for
need
us to survive, that's all that matters. And the money that is raised, I bought 3 holiday homes. People who come to Emmanuel House, you know, they're terminal. I've lost 48 patients since they've came. But we've had a whale of a time, and that's what's life's all about.
No, but you haven't lost them. They've changed their consciousness to go to another world.
Exactly, and they've made me who I am. I feel they're my backbone and everything. But we have beauty therapy. I do all the alternative therapies. I have hairdressing.
What all do you do?
I do massage, reflexology, aromatherapy.
How did you learn?
I went to college for 6 years and I learned.
Which one?
I did 4 years at Gateshead College and I did 2 years at North Tyneside. So for my diplomas, you know, and Citizen Guilds.
And this is all despite you being blind. I keep reminding the listeners.
Yeah.
And any listener who wants to come and see that she's really blind, please come and join us, and you'll see that on YouTube and nowadays Facebook as well. So, Christine, are you happy with life?
I am, yeah.
And that's despite having had an awful, difficult childhood.
Well, I still feel that people say even now, gosh, Christian, dedicating to people who are dying, and you've got a very ill husband and things like that. But I think we're all put here on earth, and I think if I'm caring for a lot of people and giving them my time,
that's what you were designed for.
I'm designed for that. I feel God's put everybody on earth for a reason, and my reason here.
And you found your reason.
Yeah, to give everything.
But most people haven't.
Right.
In one of Tolstoy's book, the accountant dies saying, "I wish I wasn't an accountant." It's a bit late, mate. You know what I mean?
If people are in desperate need at 1 o'clock in the morning, they know they can phone me, and I'll have a bed for them. I'll put them down, you know. And I just feel that's what I'm.
So you don't give them the no room in the stable message. See, you take from the Bible the bits that relate to you, and you use it instead of knowing chapter and verse like some boring priest.
I don't really know much from the Bible at all. It's from the heart.
Good on you.
From the heart,
isn't it? I mean, this is Christianity in action.
That is what Christianity is about. It's not about preaching. It's about action. It's how,
and it's not about being a Christian. It's about being a follower of Christ.
I would like to say that I'm probably a bad Catholic, but I hope I'm a good Christian.
Do you eat meat on Friday?
I eat meat on
Friday. You're a terrible Catholic, man. You should be ostracized.
I am.
But pasturated.
I try to abstain from alcohol during Lent, but it's purely to lose weight.
People give up so many things during Lent. You give up Lent as well. What do you Lent? You lend me the money, like no. But these things, these rituals are there for a purpose, for a deeper meaning. People stick to the ritual and forget what it's about.
That's it.
You know, a lot of my Muslim friends get fat during Ramzan, and I get an Indian Muslim practicing doctor to give lectures on diabetes. He's a very slim guy, and Dr. Razvi. He's from India in Hyderabad, Muslim guy. He's one of the 3 top diabetologists in the country who advises the government on Muslim affairs, on food and so on. He himself, he walks the talk. He's slim. He says, I don't put weight on during Ramzan. It's a time for penance and being holy, and at least a time when, you know, we should be holy 24 hours a day, but we can't. We're just humans.
A lot of people say to me, you know, you love chocolate and you love biscuits. I'm surprised that you don't give that up for Lent.
Yeah.
And I'll say, but it's not about giving things like that up for Lent. It's about giving... Oh, I've just been given a piece of chocolate.
Yes.
It's about giving your time. It's about giving money, and it's about giving something from yourself. That's what I feel that Lent's all about.
I once, with Sanam, raised 500 pounds for a Pakistani flood, right? And I said on the microphone, the biggest donor is someone who's given a week's wage. Actually, it was an English guy, of course, who had, UB40. He gave 40 pounds. He's unemployed, and he gave 40 pounds. So now he's given a week's wage. And everyone asked him who. I said, you can't hack it. You won't understand. There are rich people who came in. We had it in the hotel next to the Royal Station Hotel. I know the guys. They were my patients, so they gave me the hall free. When I sent it signed purposely, Dr. Anand, the Pakistani ambassador, returned it saying, no, thank you. We don't need it. But I purposely signed it with my name. We sent it to Mother Teresa. And she sent me a nasty letter saying, Dr. Anand, is simply not enough to send money. I'm sending 500 pounds to Calcutta, and she has the audacity to slap me in the face with a wet fish saying, work for the poor, don't just throw money at them. I still have that letter, you know. It was on a dirty little typewriter with type fonts missing and out of place. But I took the message. I agree with her that actually working for people, giving your time, your effort is much more important. What Christy is doing. So to me, you're the biggest Christian I've met in the studio. You're better than Cliff Richards, you know.
There's so many people, you know. I think we get caught up, even whether it's cancer or terminal illness or whatever you have. I just feel that there's a lot of people in this world that have nobody. And I've been there when I felt that nobody loved me or nobody cared for me. And there's a lot of people who have even got cancer that they've got no families, they've never had children, they've never married. And when they come, they just want somebody just to hug them and to be there, just to show that the love.
The hug is very powerful.
That's the first thing anybody gets coming to Manuel House is a big hug. And I think it's so important.
But we turned hug into a sexual thing.
I just think we've lost the plot. It's so sad. Very sad.
I can't hug Steve because he's so fat. My fingers don't touch on the other side, you know.
That's an incentive.
Even the cameraman is stealing chocolates, you know.
That's an incentive to get me to go to your weight loss thing.
Can you focus your camera on the chocolates, please?
And this is Waitrose chocolates. Waitrose will now send some money to Christine.
No. This has been sent by Bessie Williams.
This is Bessie Williams?
Yeah, Bessie, anyone for TV lady. And we have a plot. We are looking for characters who have changed their lives. And I think I'm sitting with many of them in this room. And I'll definitely put your name up as somebody, not changed. You're not survived blindness. You've thrived on it, haven't you?
Do you know, it's funny, I've often said to a lot of people, if I hadn't went blind, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. And I've probably done more with my life not being able to see than I would have if I could have seen.
You'd be distracted with visuals. You'd be watching telly all the time. Do you listen to telly or watch telly?
No, not really. Not a lot of it.
So you don't waste your time?
No, I don't waste my time. I'm too busy doing other things. For a manual house to even run, there's hundreds of phone calls. They are phoning people to see are they all right. I do a lot of fundraising. I had a fair fortnight ago. That involved hundreds of phone calls. To make something successful, you have to work at it. And I raised £825 at our home.
And you have to pay for the phone bills as well?
Oh, yes, I pay for them. But I mean, I'm on a free package thing, you know, like for an hour, you're free and whatever. But your time is so precious. I spend days shopping. I spend days organising it. You've got to get back to people 2 and 3 times. You've got to remember them the week that the fair's on. You've got to work hard to raise funds, to make money and everything. And I raised £825 on that just last night.
In a time for credit crunch and all that, isn't it?
People believe in what I'm doing, and people like it because
you believe in it.
I believe in it. They believe in me, and I phone them and I see how they are, and they know I go the extra mile.
See, what's special about you is what you run is called a micro charity. I mean, I don't know how much, but how much money of Oxfam's goes into other countries, how much stays in their office? And how much is the chief executive getting? And how much is spent on TV advertising? And how much keeping the accounts for charity commission, which employs people who need jobs as well.
Exactly.
I ran a charity called Gurukul. Do you know, I've never submitted an account. I'm a funny bug, a bit like you. They wrote to me saying, it's 3 years you haven't submitted an account. I said, excuse me, I'm giving my house for this. The insurance is mine. The carpets are cleaned by me. The gurus are staying, musical gurus, entirely at my tax-paid expenses. Why the hell should I bother to write to you? They say, we'll strike you off as to do what the hell you like. I wrote to them. So I don't even know if I'm registered or not. But even at that last phase, I got another teacher who's in Unit 12, Dr. Vijay Rajput, a musician. I believe in it. I did it. I mean, obviously, I'm being a doctor, I'm much, much richer. I didn't kill anyone, but I got lots of money.
Well, I don't wish to be a registered charity. I've put my life savings in, not for somebody to come along and tell me
how to spend
what to do and how to spend it. I don't ask anybody for anything.
No.
I work my butt off. I go out and I do pub dues. I'll put a ball on. And you know, some of them have said, how do you manage to pull this massive ball together? One person. That's all,
you're a one-man band.
I'm a one-man band. I don't involve anybody. And yet the Macmillan will have maybe 16 people to get this ball arranged, this, that, and the other. I've proved only it takes one person. I don't ask anybody for nothing.
I've had the Macmillan and the other ones here so many times. I'll let me tell you my gripe. I've had them for hours here to raise funds for them and so on, filmed them, edited them, went there with my petrol, my time. But when it came to sitting on a chair in one of the boring Bollywood, Hollywood rubbish, whatever they call it, they said, that'll cost you £94. I said, up yours. I've given them hours and hours and hours of time and love. And then my going there would benefit them. Dr. Anand from Spice FM is coming. They can't see beyond the cash.
All these big organisations, and I'm not knocking them or anything like that, they make millions, they do. And here's me, I've went and worked my butt off to raise £75,000 to buy 3 holiday homes and to kit them out for kings and queens, because that's where I feel people are when they're, you know, with cancer or wherever it may be.
You treat them like royalty.
I treat them like royalty. I've spent £10,000 converting one for people with multiple sclerosis, or all your serious illnesses, you know. Motor neuron, I've got a wet room, I've got hoists in, I've got temper mattresses.
Hey, we'll have to go and see the place, man.
Temper mattresses in.
Thanks for the video.
It's amazing,
it's absolutely fantastic, because there's a lot of people that have forgotten it's not about the money. And Macmillan used my caravan, St. Oswald's used my caravan, and I don't get a penny off them, and I don't wish to. I don't charge
but
a penny.
excuse me.
But if I can do it...
Why can't they put some of the ill-gotten gains towards you?
But if I can do it, where... all that
you see,
money,
cancer has become a very sexy industry. There are treatments in South America that cure cancer. one of my patients, I've forgotten his name by now. His wife was a midwife, and through him, I got to know him. He worked in Newcastle General, and there's a drug called Yohambine. It's very, very good for breast cancer that Red Indians have been using. Because he published a paper on it, his boss here got offended and wouldn't give him a reference. Not only that, he got a job in Australia. And if anybody challenges me from the health service, I'll bloody well find him and bloody your nose with it as well. He went to Australia, and this guy at the General, his senior, phoned. He didn't even ask him for a reference, because he knew he'd give him a bad reference. The idiot phoned all the way to Australia to malign him so he doesn't get the job. Now, it doesn't matter how good you are. If I phone somewhere, don't trust her. She's a bit of a, I can't tell you. And that's enough for frightened people that we live amongst not to use you, isn't it? So there is cancer treatments available. There is the Bristol Cancer Centre, which is also, which is now called Penny Braun.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how much you work for these cancer centres, they're all fleecing you on the issue of what is called emotional claptrap. I mean, you've got cancer, we need help, and I like the general idea. But it's turned into an industry.
It has.
And every industry, whether it's the petrochemical industry, the food industry, the religious industry, the communist industry, they're industries. The BBC.
Yeah. I mean, I have people, some of them trying to get their money. They can't even get their DLA. Everybody thinks because you've got cancer that everything comes.
Don't you get £1,500? DSA 1,500.
Yeah. Well, they think they've got the money and everything, and they don't. And some of these people have been out of work. Their loved ones are out of work. There's nothing. So even some of that money, I'll say to people what it's for. When people have come to Christmas and they haven't been able to buy a Christmas box or have anything, then I fund that as well. So they can,
sadly, it's break time, and then we'll chat again.
There's a tree in the ground, toys in every store.
Oh, that's not an advert. It's just a Christmas song. I'm sorry to tell you. There's someone on the phone. Who's that, please?
Well, it's your regular caller.
It's Siamak, my lovable friend. Hello, Siamak. How are you?
Hi, I'm all right.
Go on. What's your comment today? The other day, you couldn't cope with the show of angels and all, and you had lots of negative things. Thankfully, you restrained yourself. So we have today Christine here. What do you think?
It's, I've just tuned in.
Shame on you. You should have listened to the whole show, but carry on.
No, but what sort of interested me to ring was the charities. But is this lady the same person who was on the show last week with the angels?
No, I think you've got to think about angels. She was 2 weeks ago.
Of course I've got things about angels. And I see angels all the time.
Yeah. They're called pretty women, but carry on.
Right, but the thing is, listening to what you were talking about charities, it's a personal interest. I was surprised with some of the comments that you made there about not reporting or registering or telling anybody whatever.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've set up a charity, and right from the beginning, even though I've done no activity with this charity yet, but I've registered it. Now,
so you got everything ready, but nowhere to go.
The thing is, though, fair enough if, this lady, from what I heard, that she is using her own expression, putting her butt on the line and doesn't want anything from anybody. Well, that's fair enough. I don't think if you are just spending your own money, giving your own time, and not collecting from anybody, then you shouldn't be answering to anybody for what you're doing. But as soon as I think as soon as you start collecting money, donations, and organizing activities where people donate or give money, they might do it on trust with you doing it. But don't you think that there's got to be some kind of control and answers in case there are sort of not so many nice people like you two guys sitting there?
Thank you.
Who could be using these activities and pocketing the money rather than using it for good causes?
Okay. You said instead, and you could be using, and you should be. And let me tell you what happened in the Gurdwara twice. Once I went to collect money for the children, and they were throwing money into a plastic bag, and I said, I'll count. They said, what for? I said, give you a receipt. He said, don't be stupid. We give you this money in love. How you use it is your business. Point number one. Second time, I took an English girl who was one of the 3 girls and one of the 8 children going to Mount Everest base camp, and they donated 750 pounds. And when I phoned the school, I said, look, I don't take receipts from people, because I totally agree with her and disagree with you, I'm afraid. So listen to me out. When I phoned the school, they said, but why won't you give me a receipt? I said, Sikhs are nice people. They trust everyone. They work in love. She said, I'm a Sikh myself. In fact, I'm Jarnail Singh's daughter-in-law, but I'm working in the English atmosphere of Excelsior Academy. So I totally ran a Gurukul for 10 years. Nobody asked me for any receipts. I gave my own time and money. The Arts Council gave me 32,000 pounds, and that's the only money we accounted for. Otherwise, I can't be bothered. If you have registered a charity, sir, I recommend very strongly you do something with it rather than having something that you're not using. She's using her time, effort, money. If somebody is jealous, envious, let them take her to court. I'm with her, because it's cowardice.
I understand where you come from. All I'm saying is,
I come from Patna.
Fair enough that we do. I mean, we try to get everything done,
from the heart,
on the basis of trust.
Yes.
But can you put sort of hands on heart and tell me that everybody who goes into this type of game,
not at all, not at all. But I speak for me, and I speak now for Christine. Only 2, and there are others. Can Mick wants to say something? Speak to Mick. Put the headphones on. Speak to Mick, an ex-policeman. Go on, Mick. What do you think?
I can see exactly where you're coming from, because once people start making donations, there has to be some form of accountability as to where the money's going,
right,
what it's being spent on.
Right.
And the Charities Commission has come into being really and simply because in the past there have been people like you have talked about, unscrupulous people who have used the funds for their own gain.
Sure.
I can go along with what you say, Doc, and yes, you and Christine are using your own funds, your own time.
Yeah.
So that's
because
one
so
thing.
much is spent in accounting that you might as well not bother with the charity, as our friend is demonstrating. My friend has got a charity. It's all registered, but nowhere to go. Now, how is that right?
Well, it's not right, because he's not using it.
What is the situation is that it doesn't matter whether you're registered or not. You're still likely to be misusing the funds.
Well, Oxfam pays its chief exec, I don't know, 100,000. And is that not misuse of funds?
No,
I would call that misuse of funds.
No. I think I have to disagree.
I have a friend of mine who works for the dog charity, and he's a manager. Now, he runs a team of 10 men who all have to be paid out of the donations. He has to be paid. Every 3 months, they have raffles, they have awards for the top salesmen. That's all got to be paid for. Their offices are in London. He goes down to London on a regular basis. He goes down to London on a regular basis, all paid for. So how much out of the £5 a month that is generally donated
by someone in Biker
actually goes to...
Yeah. So it's we're not. Nobody would disagree with you that one should have accountability, but equally sometimes what looks good becomes more important than doing good. That's all I'm saying.
Am I still on?
Yes.
I'm afraid. Why would I cut you off, man? You're from Iran. You might cut my.
You see, I can sympathize completely with what you're saying as an individual who becomes interested, Doc, or the lady sitting next to you.
Christine.
You become interested in a cause, and then you go out of your way, your time. You're not doing it. You don't need the income of anything to support. You've got your own job, and you use your spare time promoting some kind of cause, and that's fine. If you don't want to answer to anybody or register or whatever, fine. But when you compare it to a chief executive of Red Cross or Oxfam or
like that,
even though I know this is what I've been told, out of every pound, only 10% goes to actual cause. 90%
so
is spent.
You're chopping your own toes off with an axe.
But there is a but. The but is that 10%, because the organizations and the collection of the money is so huge that
that you'd rather lose 90% to these big fat slobs in the posh cars than I would send it to Nigeria. Yeah.
Listen.
Oh my God.
With even 10%,
okay.
They manage.
No. You are saying end justifies the means. No. We are from different planets, my friend. The end does not justify the means. No. You're from South Shields. I'm from Newcastle. That's the problem.
Listen, Doc.
Okay.
Listen.
Okay.
This is why the style of charity that you're talking about is very popular in sort of our part of the world.
No. Talk about Iran. I'm talking about India. We are not the same part of the world. Ayatollah has no status in India.
Listen, those type of charities are popular over there, but they get nowhere. They stay very local.
I'd rather.
Stay very limited.
Okay. We take your point. I hope we take your point. I personally totally disagree with you. I'm a one-man band too.
If you didn't disagree,
listen, I ran a charity for 10 years, but do you know the secret? I also learned, I also paid, and I got a lot out of it. Huge amount in Indian classical. So I'm not just a person who's charitable. I started.
Pleasure, probably.
Definitely. Okay. I'm very spiritual, and I'd love you to join me. Okay. Look forward to see. Okay.
All the best.
All right. All the best. Basically, what we are saying is, he's saying accountability is the most important thing. So when you want a nurse to work in Dr. Anand's practice, she has to be 5 foot 6 inches tall, 36, 24, 36. Never mind that she talks to the patient or not. That's not easy measurable. And I totally disagree with process. I'm a free agent who has the guts to say, I am the charity. If you pay me money, don't you dare ask me for a receipt. If you do, don't bother. I've got my friend here.
But Doc, the thing is that if Christine DePonio is not a registered charity, she's putting in her own funds. Why should she be accountable to anyone?
She's accountable to the person who created her. It's called God.
Well,
and the Charity Commission is not God.
In that respect, I would say the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. I went to Roman Catholic school.
You did as well. Now we've got 3 people in the room.
With the exception of Mrs. Jennings, who came from Portsmouth, Southampton. Right?
So our friend Syed has joined in. And the Syed, come on, have an input. Come this side if you like.
And the best part of the Catholic faith, which I believe, is the confession. It takes the load off your shoulders.
Excuse me, this poor little man at his, this little boy of 11 had no load. He used to create bad things.
Used to create confession at a young age. You end up going there and thinking you've got to confess something.
Right.
So you make them up. So you're telling lies.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the CIA. It's like the CIA and waterboarding.
The next time for confession is say I confess that I
last time I was in confession.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've only got to do it once, then you can confess that you lied at the previous confession. So then that.
But what happens the next time?
No. But
you only tell half the truth.
Excuse me. There's 2 ways religions thrive. One is Christine's way, which is called love.
Yes.
The other one is called fear and control.
Yes.
That is what the Taliban are doing. So the priests who made you confess at 11 and the Taliban are not that different.
No.
But what Mother Teresa did, what Christine is doing, what Idi Sahib in Pakistan, that you know more than me about. Yes. Well, here's another tenner coming your way. God, he's got his shame on you. He's put in 15. I'll have to give 5 more. There you are, another 10. So how much have you got? 20 and 15, 30. 35.
A lot of people who
10 from
give me donations.
Steve and 10 from me.
45.
Fantastic.
55. You got 55. We wanted to be 100 very soon.
Doc, I was going to suggest...
Okay.
Any help?
Syed from a Catholic school from Karachi speaks.
I've got an idea. Doc, since you are more or less in charge of the beacon...
No. I'm not even in charge of myself.
We can put a board out in the reception with the various charities details or people who are into say workers.
Whenever you go, I'm not asking you to go. Please get Thea into the studio. Thea. 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 You don't have to list Thea's name.
Okay.
Thea.
Okay.
She's in charge of events. And if you bring her into the studio or ask her, I say, please, we've got a fantastic charity that we want to do. And you know, the beauty of Christine is a micro charity.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, this is great. And I've been thinking about this all along over the last couple of years. You know, they say that somebody had an accident or someone had cancer and the child needs some help. And I was thinking that with a population of something like 65 million, out of which you can discount 25 who are either retired or unable to do anything. The other 40, they put in £1 each.
That's all it would take.
£40 million, you know.
But I think the point is, unfortunately, that the thing that guy said before, there are people that mistrust even. You know, we've got to know Christine not very well. I've only met Christine 3 times, but you get the feel and the vibes that she's to be trusted, and that's the problem. People get the barrier and say they think the negative. They think the negative that guy said. And he believes that by registering with the Charity Commission that everything's going to be okay.
Give me the camera and speak on the mic.
It wouldn't be any different.
You're so keen to speak.
A lot of people who
my cameraman wants to speak. Go on. In time, yeah. Okay. Yeah, go on, Christine.
A lot of people who do fundraising for me, which are in the community, a lot of them are friends. A lot of people are in the community. They believe in what I'm doing, and they say, thank goodness that you're not with the registered commissioners, because we don't want to see this money go to other people, the fat cats, the directors, the chief executives. And if they don't want to give to me, they don't have to. But they have chose me as Charity of the Year because they're local, they know me, they come to my fairs, they come to my dues, they come to the balls, they see where the money's went to. It costs £75,000 to buy these holiday homes. Everybody goes free of charge. I don't charge anything at all. They have a fantastic time. They come one day and they can be there the next day. I've had families coming who are ill. It's not about ticking the boxes with your big registered charities that you'd have to. When they say, even if the Macmillan had these holiday homes, you would have to meet a criteria. You would have to be of a certain illness. You would only be able to go with maybe the person who's got the cancer and maybe the carer. I don't have to answer to anything. People who are ill, if they want to go away and say goodbye to their loved ones and the whole family want to go, they hold 18 people, these holiday homes. They can take the 18 of them, the aunts, the grands. It's about the family coming together at the end of people's lives and having quality of life and saying what a wonderful time we've had before they've died.
And I'm pretty sure with your own investment and with your own dedication, you're probably doing a lot better than those charities which are supposed to be
run on process. What do you have to say on this? Come on, you've been sitting quietly. What's your view?
I personally, I've had a job working for. I've had a job working for the door-to-door charities.
As soon as it stops, you stop. Huh? Are you
who I was representing RSPCA, and I was knocking on people's doors, and it got to a point where they don't care about who you're actually helping. All they care about is numbers. They care about how many doors you knock on. You have to knock on 150 doors, and if you don't knock on that many doors, you get checked. Back. Yeah, you get sort of penalised and what have you. But what rattled my cage was they were making us knock on pensioners' doors at 9 o'clock at night, and it was like
just to make numbers.
Just to make numbers, and it's ruthless.
It's because the measurement of achievement is different. Their measurement of achievement is a numbers game. How many people are you knocking on doors? How much money are you generating from them?
I've got Ifti on the line.
People's doors and help them out.
Okay, Ifti, go on, fire away, Ifti. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon to everybody. Can everybody in the studio hear me?
No, but carry on. Thank God we can't, but carry on.
Right, okay. Oh, right, that's very nice.
No, bolo.
Doc, what it is I've just tuned in as you was, I think you might have been speaking to Siamak, if I'm not right.
Siamak, we are talking, speaking to Siamak.
I just tuned in and you were disagreeing about something, so I didn't catch the whole gist of it. But on the general issue of charities, general issue of charities, I think not every charity is the same. Not every charitable venture is done in the same way. So although I agree with you that, if you're doing something, people should have that faith and trust and take your word for it.
Don't bother doing it. Or don't bother doing it, isn't it?
No, but it doesn't apply to everybody. You gave the example of Mr. Easy in Pakistan. His charity gives a receipt to everybody who donates. His charity does a self-audit.
No, but he's become, but he didn't start a charity.
Can you let me finish, please? It's one of the most successful charities in Pakistan.
Yeah.
It's one of the most influential charities in Pakistan.
Yeah, I've already mentioned him, so carry on. Go beyond Mr. Eady.
What I'm saying, he does do what you say that you don't want to do. But
no, I don't want to do. I will not do a charity. If you ask me for a receipt, I will not do the charity. I've got a pension. I don't need the money. If you have so little, and I will not. And you brought me 650 pounds. No, you are going to. I'm praising what you're saying.
All I'm saying is, circumstances are different for different people. What may suit a certain person may be better for a certain person in the effort that they're putting in, may not be the same for others. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Well, that's right, Doc. It is right.
Okay, what Mr. Eady is doing, Mr. Eady is the biggest charity, and he did not start for any other reason except to help human beings. The charity
I'm not talking about good or bad reasons. I'm saying people will operate in different ways that will suit and benefit their work the best way.
Okay, let me tell you my style. If you don't believe in me...
No, I don't
अरे यार बोलने दे यार अरे यार बोलने दे अमा यार बोलने दे मुझे ओ मेरे दोस्त मुझे भी but what I'm saying is Christine's style and my style are identical. I believe in this. I'll do it whether you donate or not. If I hate processes. I hate someone telling me to tick the boxes. That's why I became a GP. That's why I'm on.
You work better if you work better and more efficiently in the way that you work.
Where do you fit in? Okay, stop. Where do you fit in? Where do you fit in?
You see, it depends on what you're doing.
No, answer.
Hear me out. If I'm taking my time out, right, to voluntarily help someone, I'm not going to ask them for a receipt.
There you are. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, thanks.
It depends on how.
Okay.
You know, everybody talks about charity as if in monetary terms. Doing charitable work without money involved is also an element as well.
Are you going to help Christine?
No, I don't know what the discussions are.
Okay, well, we'll stop there because we have been talking for 2 hours, and if you come in late, I can't wait. I'll tell you later. Okay.
I just come from the school.
No, that's fine. We can't tell you about Christine 20 times everyone phones. So just keep listening.
I just wanted to make a point that, you know, different methods suit different people. You know, as long as the good work gets done, that's what matters.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so different messages suit different people, different styles suit different people. But Christine's charity is not about receipts. It's not about ticking boxes. It's not about 10% going in. It's about 100% going in. And nobody speaks for these charities. People are caught up in these big, stupid charities which pay money. I think it's immoral.
Let's have another song. Let's have another song now. Do you think?
When you're ready to let me go.
You want to say
a live song?
Yes. You get the guitar ready. Syed wants to speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to mention some very important thing. We live in one of the richest countries in the world, without any shadow of a doubt. I'll tell you why.
G8.
I heard a lot about lesser funds for the NHS. But all of a sudden, the war breaks out, we'll put 50 billion out there. We have.
It's what you spend on.
It's a question of allocation of resources as far as the Prime Minister and the Cabinet is concerned. So I proceed from there. I heard a program, whatever I say is not negative and not against anyone. But this was pronounced on the press, BBC News 24 a couple of years ago. They carried out an investigation on charities registered, mostly in London. What they do is they collect the money. First, the director has got to have a Rolls Royce, then a secretary, and then whatever is left will be spent on X, Y, and Z. And I feel that people, even like myself, I'm retired. If I have some money in my pocket, I'd like to give it to people who need help without all this form filling and all the rest. And like I mentioned, with a population of something like 65, if there are 20 million people who can donate £1 each, that's 20 million.
And you've donated 15 pounds. How would you like it? How would you like it if only £1.50 went to her, like Oxfam, and the rest was spent in process? How would you like it?
I wouldn't. That's why I'm very skeptical about putting money towards
big charities.
I do give money.
In Bangladesh, one Nobel Peace, he did microfinancing.
Yes.
I love him.
That's great.
Because he's looking after the needy people. Banks look after the people who don't need the money.
True. Yes.
You know, so that's why I'm not for process. I'm not for BBC. I'm not for ITV. I'm for Spice FM. Here comes the song.
And another thing is that I'm unable to donate any time. But this book that Christian Deponio has written, taken to some of the American foundations, would definitely help immensely to create a support without all this form filling.
See, nobody likes a one-man band because they are themselves not a one-man band.
And all my book money is going now to buy the next place that we need for the Northeast that I'm going to be leaving as a legacy, and my album. All the money from my album, all the money from my talks.
But you're not going yet, are you?
Legacy?
No, no.
Are you leaving Spice?
It will be a legacy.
No, away, man.
Yeah.
And here,
Well,
you
2 o'clock.
sing quite well too.
Oh, yes. Did you hear the first song?
Absolutely.
We're going to
Okay,
get
come
another
on.
one.
Let's have another one.
Let's have another one.
Do you want a Christian song?
Let's sing
or a-
something we know, man. We'll sing with
Sing
you.
one we
Right,
know. We can sing
well,
along to.
The Seekers, I don't know a whole lot of them.
Oh,
So Train
I didn't know you did Sikh songs.
Train Whistle Blowing
Yes,
from the
that'll do.
Seekers many years ago. Train Whistle
Mainu pata
Blowing.
nahi, but carry on.
Oh, sorry, I've got my mobile on. Can you hear it there? I'll wait. That's my mobile going
No,
off
it's me
there.
whistling.
Right, it'll go off in a minute.
And just carry on singing. Just leave them.
Okay. So this is Train Whistle and Blown by the original Seekers.
Okay.
Train whistle blowing makes a sleepy noise. Underneath the blanket are all the girls and boys, rockin', rollin', riding out along the bay, all bound for Morningtown, many miles away. Driver at the engine, fireman rings the bell, Sandman swings a lantern to show that all is well.
Hey!
Rockin', rollin', riding out along the bay, all bound for Morningtown, many miles away. Maybe it is raining where our train will ride. All the little travelers are warm and snug inside. Rockin', rollin', riding out along the bay, all bound for Morningtown, many miles away.
Wow, wow.
Maybe there is sunshine, maybe there is rain, maybe there is Morningtown, many miles away. Rockin', rollin', riding out along the bay, all bound for Morningtown, many miles away. All bound for Morningtown, many miles away.
Yay!
Very country western.
So if anybody wants me to do any talks out there, music, and they want to give me something for it, just get in touch with me.
Yes, yes, yes.
And it will all go to
yes.
my charity.
Yes, yes. It is so fantastic that you're so. I think you're fearless, really. Yeah. And you know, I keep thinking of Saqib all the time at PCS, who will meet tonight.
Right.
So he has to come to the next show if he's free on Christmas.
True, why not?
We'll bring him in.
And of course, I think it's the spirit behind all this, and Christine had it.
I thought you didn't drink.
I think we have to.
Just cool.
I think
you can't talk about spirits, man. You're
Yeah.
Mr. Ahmed, you can't talk about spirits.
We have to. I think if you are of my type, you need more of a spirit to drive you forward, because it puts the real
zing into
it. And of course, I was going to say that we need a channel of propagation of societies like this who need some support.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a few pounds, it could be a few thousand, it could be 100,000.
Would you agree that
And of
society
course,
is getting a bit more democratized? Ordinary people can listen to classical music, never mind Western, Indian classical music at the stage.
Right.
So society has become more diffused.
Bureaucratized as well.
Well, but damn the bureaucrats. We can still survive without them.
Yeah.
So whether it's the GMC, LMC, FPC, anything with a C at the end of it, please don't go there. It's so boring. It's so boring. It's fit for boring people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It kills me.
Yes, I agree there.
Something went. Oh, it's your phone going off.
It's runs off.
It even goes off musically. Wow. So, you know, anything with a C at the end of it, beware. Anything advertised on television, don't eat it. It's got fat in it. It's got E numbers. You know. New Zealand beef and this and that and sugar is
Waitrose chocolate mini rolls advertised.
Once a year you're allowed to have a bit fun, right?
yeah.
But if you eat it every day, it's not fun.
Oh, no.
It's like having a holiday every year. It's not fun.
And the doc knows more about it. The
Why should
ones are the emulsifiers, and some of them are prohibited to people other than Muslims. And it's one of those things.
But E numbers are bad for everyone. Like it's not just for Muslims. Like, it's bad for me also. Like. So, Christine. So, just remind us of your website again. www.Emmanuel, double M for those who can't spell, and even for those who can't spell.
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel. Where were you born?
Here, Newcastle.
But your E I thought sounded more like an A, So I thought you were from Sunderland or some strange place.
So it's E-double-M.
She's not a Mackham.
No.
Geordie through and through. Just down the road off Westcott Road I was born.
There are 4 Geordies in the room. One in Indian and one born Indian but went to Pakistan by choice when he was 6 months old. He was born in Delhi, this fellow. It's true.
I was asked in the United States where I came from. And the surprising part was that I didn't explain it, but they looked at my color. And
which is brown.
Well, yes. But the fact is that when they were asking me the question, I'd spent 2/3 of my life in the West, in Britain. And where do you belong? Well,
2/3 to Britain and 1/3
country. That's what you're talking about.
We were talking about this.
If you talk about it legally, it's a question of domicile. You could live here for the whole of your life
and still
be domiciled in India or
no, but home is where the heart is. Where is your heart?
Absolutely.
Where's your heart?
It's here. Right here. The earth belongs to me, and I don't believe in these borders created by human beings. A line here and a line there. We'll keep on doing.
So we should make more bridges over the Tyne, so North Shields and South Shields could feel like the same people. Like
absolutely.
Why do we create these borders? Man is a stupid animal, don't you think? Yes. We create dogs of different breeds. We believe in different religions.
Intelligence, no common sense.
And then you get the politics.
Our cameraman is a PhD graduate. Too much intelligence, too many houses, not enough homes. Yes. I think the Dalai Lama. Are you the Dalai Lama? Are you the South American Lama?
He's the Geordie Lama.
He's the Geordie. Not Banana Rama or Panorama or Rama. Gajab ho gaya. Okay. So we are looking for donations to help this lady who runs a one-man band. I'll still say, do you mind being called a man? No. Okay. You don't have an issue because all the Indian film actors, half of them are actors. No, I can't even say that. They're females actors and male actors. See, it's so stupid. It's getting a bit daft, isn't it?
Yeah.
But India is very hot to get onto these politically correct things. We are not actresses, we are actors.
Well, you've got chairwoman now and stuff like that.
Chairperson.
Chairperson.
Okay, what do you say about a manhole on the road? Don't say it. Okay, so what were you saying? We were saying that how do we raise funds for someone we trust and believe in, who spends all her money, effort, time? How do you account for your time making people phone calls with your passion? I can get some dufty little numpty to make the phone calls, but he or she will not have your passion in their voice. I couldn't make your phone call. Anthea, my wife used to say, oh, you get everyone coming to Gurukul, they don't all learn. I say, it's their problem. If I talk to 15 people and one comes and learn. My guru used to say, the Arun Devnath.
Right.
He said, and you'll understand as an Asian with Indian music background.
Right.
I said, what are you going to sing? He said, if I see a Martian Sardarji, I'll sing something Malkos. If I see a sad woman who's lost her husband, I'll sing a sad song.
Absolutely.
If I see a romantic, pretty woman, I'll sing. So he says, if I make one man happy, one person, one woman cry, my evening is fine. It's no point. So when I went to Arts Council and they say, how many bums on seats? I said, excuse me, in India, we sing through our mouths. What do you mean bums on seats? We're not talking about farting here. We're talking about singing classical music, But they actually talk this language. They're so dumbed down.
Yeah.
In Britain...
It's all about numbers.
But in Britain, it's almost bad to be good. It's good to be bad. You get Jade Goody on television. And what do you think? Cameraman, give me the camera. You speak. But speak into that microphone. I'll film you there.
Even when you're a child in school, you get brainwashed by how much you've just got to repeat what's in a history book or a textbook. None of it's relevant to real life.
It's not learning, is it?
It's not. It's just repeating.
Teaching.
It's not teaching.
Well, it's teaching for the purposes of getting you through an exam.
The exams.
And then what?
Yes, you get a bit of paper that says you've got an qualification.
You know, the English test that they hold for foreigners, I would fail it tomorrow. I don't know who was a king when, but I'm as British as they come, you know. Why do I have to mug up those stupid questions? Have you seen them?
I went for a job interview the other year. I forget who it was with. And they wanted me the O-level and A-level certificates, which is 40 years ago. What use is that?
Okay.
What use is it?
No, but Britain is far better because in India, if I applied for a job today, they'd ask for my birth certificate. And I don't have one. I was born at home. People knew who their fathers were. They didn't need birth certificates in those days, you know.
It wasn't obligatory to have a birth certificate in India. It came enacted, the act was made in 1969 to make it compulsory for everyone to have.
And we didn't have marriage certificates. We know who was married to whom. See, all this certification business is society controlling you. And it is about fear and control. Insurance industry runs on fear and control.
I mean, I get it. You know, the latest thing and all, it's been on the news today and yesterday about the cuts again in the councils, which has been coming for years, and there's another chunk.
Yes, I heard.
But the thing now is down to the thing, oh, well, we're going to have to cut this, we're going to have to cut that. If people want these things to run, get involved with them. You know, if there's no reason why, if you want to run a swimming pool or a gym,
Jasmine Library, to take your point, Jasmine Library.
Take the library, get people in to volunteer.
If you really believe in it.
If you believe in it.
Or don't bother.
Yeah.
But there's a small community up in Northumberland where the local pub shut down. So the community took it over as a community
pub.
Okay, right.
It's now a community pub.
Good.
And they're running it, and it's making a profit, and it's doing all right. They've got a full-time.
Because you have a vested interest, isn't it?
Yes,
true.
Yes.
You have a passion.
Because you've got passion for
these things disappear, but you can put them back in place.
I'm going to tell you something interesting. In the United States, all fire stations are voluntarily run by volunteers. So
on school buses, you know, when they have those yellow buses in the schools. You know, when they have the yellow buses that take the kids to school, isn't that a family member driving them? I don't think that's
So they would know whose child is which child is smoking behind the tree, and they can tell them. You know, it's like uncle taking you to school.
A lot of it is voluntary.
That's amazing.
Voluntarily managed.
You mean they're good things in America?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm amazed. I thought there wasn't.
Yes, and there's more. I mean, my niece had cancer, and the two people got together, one Jewish, one Christian. And they really contributed so much money.
And your niece is Muslim. Look at the beauty of that.
At the age of 18, and
look at the beauty of that.
Such a massive support.
Yes.
Hard to believe.
So Christian and a Jew is. Why do we fight over religion? Is it because we don't have any faith? I think so. Christine, what do you think?
Say that again.
You're a deeply Christian, right?
Yes, yeah.
These two are failed Christians. These three actually, they're just bloody Geordies. He is a failed Muslim. I'm a failed Hindu. Now, how do you view us different from these guys? Do you think...
Me personally, I think there's only one God, and we all worship Him in our own way, in our own beliefs.
And our own styles.
In our own styles.
In our own clothes, in our own language.
Everything.
Yes.
I think we have to value...
the different paths to the same God.
Yes, different parts to the same God, and I think we have to value everybody, how they speak, how they feel. And
the culture.
Because
really...
You've got to respect it.
Well, the culture is all I can see, isn't it? If this guy sitting next to me is a well-behaved guy, which he is, can you take your hand off my knee, please? then I'll have a little more love for Muslims because he's got an Islamic name. And that is the big issue about religions. You are branded at your birth.
That's right, yes.
Nobody here has made a choice about which religion. At birth, you are with a red-hot poker. Anand, you're going to be a Hindu. Oh, God. Then you go to a Catholic school. Then you go to a convent. Then you go to St. Xavier's. Then you go to St. Stephen's. Then you come back to Patna Medical College where they do caste politics. No Christians, few Muslims, but it's all caste politics.
But you see, that goes on everywhere. Unfortunately,
I've got Muslims. I've got Muslims who say I'm Arai, I'm Rajput, I'm this and that.
A lot of the time, you're forced into the system wherever you are.
No, but you can stick your two fingers up and tell them where to go.
Well, you can't all the time. I think
I do all the time.
You might not get very far up in it.
This cameraman is very vocal.
Well, we don't get this on the BBC.
No. But this is passion. This is passion. I think we should clap for the cameraman. Well done. Yeah.
Yes, let's all cameramen now from on the television and ITV and BBC and
one day.
If the cameraman started speaking up, there'd be some truth on the BBC.
One day, Syed was sitting on the other side, my friend Syed. And we started praising the music writers in India, the words, the lyricists. Because we just say Muhammad Rafi is good, Muhammad Rafi is good. But some fellow made the music and some otherwise Muhammad Rafi would be nobody. Muhammad Rafi is a good instrument. He's like a Stradivari violin, but full stop. There are people who wrote the story, there are people who dreamt it and so on. So I also said there are people who cook so well, but we tip only the waiter. The poor cook gets left out.
That's right.
Along comes this female voice. And she spoke with a very Indian kind of Hindi, less Urdu, more Hindi. And I said to Syed that my friend Syed is from the other side of the border. The border word is Seema. And she said, I'm also from the same side and my name is Seema. So how fascinating. Wow. Do you remember that day?
That's right, yes. I do. Well, you know,
Ovesh and Seema.
In our own endeavors as good human beings, we can make sure that borders are not as recognized as they are meant to be. When we find something like prejudice or an obstacle in our front, we can just ignore it and quietly just truck on and keep on making our endeavors.
Well, the English houses used to have very strong borders, strong walls and this and that. A lot of them are open plan. Nobody cares. And if somebody steps across my garden, so what? My grass isn't that green that I care about. You know what I mean? So borders are fear. We talk about the Berlin Wall, it's gone. We talk about the Great Wall of China, it's too old to do anything useful. We talk about the Roman Wall, but the Israeli walls that are coming up, you know,
walls are put up, as they say.
It's just to create barriers.
People become afraid, so they start
Yes.
building the barriers.
Yes.
Because they think if they stay behind the barriers, they are not going to be affected.
Yes.
However, what you find is the fear doesn't go away, the fear becomes greater. So your
Yes.
walls have to become higher, have to become thicker, and it's
Now, you're from the police, so why does Britain not have such a free licensing system that everyone can own a gun and America says everyone's entitled to it?
we're sensible.
There's a point in that.
Because if what you end up with, you end up with a situation that if everybody owns a gun, every policeman's got to carry a gun. If everybody
Exactly, you have to have a bigger gun. You're the police.
If every policeman carries a gun, then everybody else has got. So it grows.
Yes.
And it grows
Yes.
to such an extent that people become afraid that
So, you know-
he's got a gun next door, so I need a gun here just in case.
You know,
And this is where accidents
this thing
happen
that
in
happened the day before, this Taliban stuff, the more I see it, the more I'm promoting it. I can't watch it. I can't watch it. It's so... I mean, I wouldn't have to watch, thank God, what happened, but I can't watch limbs on the road and boots with blood in them, ties with bloodied. The parents have sent them to, Bete, don't eat this, it's good for you, at that level. And suddenly the kid has come back in a box.
It's shocking. It's shocking. It's devastating that a child goes to school in the morning and the parents collect his body in the afternoon. It's completely.
But there was a man
devastating.
crying who said, "Janaza ka kya karenge? What will I do with this?
Yeah.
What use is it?"
Yes, I heard that.
Thank you for the box, but what will I do with it? What am I to do with it?
Because their entire contribution to the child's 12 or 14 years of age has gone down the drain, is washed away at a stroke, just like that.
And the contribution is emotional, spiritual, social, cultural, financial, every way, isn't it?
Well, I think
It's
when anybody ever sends children to school, you never expect anything like that to
It's
happen.
permanent devastation.
But also for a
Never.
parent to see their child die before them.
Exactly.
My son committed suicide, so I know a little bit about this. And you know, Humayun was ill, and Babur said, "Take my life," to God.
Okay.
And Babur died, and Humayun lived.
All right, yeah.
So then, I know more about these things than you do.
Yeah,
What have you been? Have you been to America all the time?
you-
Don't you read about these things, man? Okay, how are you? Some of these things I cook up. These are common mythologies.
No. They're there. You're right.
Yeah,
But, but the fact is that, if we brought something like an international gun law to reduce the number of guns in people's possession, we don't need guns. For example,
What would happen if all nuclear energy was taken away by Martians except for good use? What would happen if all the guns in the world were stolen? Nothing would happen. We'd live happily. What would happen if, the Saudi Arabia is called, isn't it? If one day's expenditure they do on booze and meat and guns was spent in Africa to hungry people?
It would solve the problem.
There is money, there is abundance, and I'm using extremes. Pardon that. What would happen if India disarmed and all the money would be used for poor people?
You made a statement before, Doc, about the fact, no, you said,
Syed,
that there's always money for war.
Yeah.
We will always find money for war and
yes.
for destruction. However, when it comes to doing good and for helping people, money is not
the excuse.
You
Yes.
haven't got it.
Yeah.
We're going to have to make cuts.
When it comes to library for the unemployed, so that they can grow their... I mean, I maybe I talk through my heart. Why should students have to pay for their education in this country? I just find it abhorrent. But people just accept anything the government does. I think it's child abuse, not educating your child free.
Well, what you've got now in this country, you've education's gone in a funny
circle,
funny spectrum. So you've got kids now who don't want to stay at school, who are being made to stay on till they're 18.
Just forcibly.
And
knowing there's no job at the end anyway.
They don't want to be there.
Yes.
So you've got teachers now who are becoming totally sick of it, don't want to be there. Saying, why are we having to teach these children?
Yes.
Because they don't want to be here.
And I'm just a disciplinarian. I don't teach anything. I just say, shh, quiet. You'll be thrown. I've got friends who are teachers. He says 70% of my time in the higher classes is spent just on shushing them up and taking their mobile phones off them.
And then they came out the other week, wasn't it, with the study that the people who do want to study are being distracted by We'll separate them and get the ones that they're not waste of time people, the ones that don't want to study. But there's something better for them to do.
You know, I went to a school that was for...
This camera can shut up, but carry on.
Sorry.
Go near a mic.
I went to a school that was for people with anxiety or sort of other issues that made them not want to sort of
be at school,
be in mainstream, sort of big open spaces. Loads of people, it could be bullying or whatever, but for whatever reason they're there. And they've got other schools. They've got other schools like sort of the bad lads schools, and then they put them together in one building to save money.
All right, so you exchange your gifts.
Well, no. It's a case of a lot of people who are bound with anxiety and sort of afraid of being bullied and what have you.
Stuck with
right in the same classroom.
Yes. So you put the victim and the aggressor together.
Just to save money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, same with psychiatric.
Economy, though, isn't it? You might as well not even have them in school. You might as well give them a trade.
Well, in that case, I have to praise Newcastle College. It's growing rapidly. It's not shrinking. Most of the universities, if they didn't have foreign students, they would close down. They need Malaysians, occasional Indians, lots of Arabs, and lots of Chinese to speak English. Otherwise, they would close. Northumbria, Newcastle have a big hard time. And yet, Newcastle is growing. Why? I asked one of the Rob Kleiser. I said, "Why do you grow? You know, what do you do? Do you drug all your kids out?" He said, "No. We make the curriculum according to the need in society." So if society needs more chefs, we'll produce more chefs. If it needs more beauticians, we'll produce more of them. Never mind all this highfalutin. Let someone do research, proper research for mankind. We are bothered about local Geordies.
Well, we're putting in a program at the moment, me and the lad up at Cramlington, and he does a 16-week pre-apprenticeship course where
he teaches,
where they can actually go and do 4 weeks plumbing, 4 weeks plastering.
Oh, I see.
4 weeks bricklaying. Painting.
So like a beginner's thing.
Yes, they get a taste of everything.
And then they choose which one they...
That's it. And you get somebody who says, "Oh, I want to be a plumber," and all of a sudden he's hanging wallpaper and painting. He says, "You know this, I can do this, and I'm better at this." And
I like you working my hands, but not for wallpaper.
And it works.
A friend of mine I met at you and Daniel. You know, Daniel Thompson, UKIP and Jewish, how controversial can you get? So I went to his party and this lady says, my son wants to be a doctor and he can't find anyone who will give him a space in the surgery. I used to. And my staff used to say, "Oh, but they haven't done the Hippocratic Oath." I said, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I've never read the Hippocratic Oath in my life. I don't know what this myth is about this Hippocratic Oath. I've never done it. I never saw it. I come from India where we don't do such oaths.
Been struck off for
I don't know who. Show me an English doctor who has read the Hippocratic Oath. It's all a myth, you know. But in my time, I used to get the students in. And the staff, I said, "Look, you're not even police checked. I don't know what you read the notes. If we depend on you to be trustworthy, but you're not police checked. Another police checked. And I said, "Who are you to talk about who I have in the surgery? If the patients don't want it, it's their choice, not you." So the girls try to act up a bit. I again remember, I used to write prescriptions, amoxicillin, 250 milligram multiplied by 3. So the patient can read what it is. The girls used to write TID. So once I sat the girls down, I said, what is TID? I said, it means 3 times. I said, no, what does TID? It says try DM. BD is by DM, twice a day. But why do you write Latin? Just to look like a doctor or what? I, as a doctor, I'm writing simple English. Thrice, like the computer's printing thrice. Right. But I would write multiply by 3 because it's quicker. But they would, so people hang on to these little power things. I would say belly, and the girls would say abdomen. I would say gullet, they would say esophagus. So sometimes we learn these little tricks to look important. What do you think of that, sir?
Yes, yeah, you're quite right. But I think this is all terribly bureaucratic and systematic.
And kills people.
Systems itself has got systems inside it.
Wheels within wheels.
And a lot of it's for protection.
Yes. And
whose protection?
Well, their protection. They believe it's their protection.
True.
I don't think it is.
And we were talking about schools earlier on, I was thinking at the time that docs in my time, we used to have a greater discipline in the schools we went to. We had 6 of the best as well in the schools that I went.
That's why I went to a Catholic school, because there was discipline there.
We had a climbing rope in the gym with a big leather end on it, about a foot long in the end.
Okay.
And it just took one guy, and there was a lad who got that across his backside in the first year.
Right.
And everybody watched. He made sure everybody in the rest of the group watched. And that was sorted the discipline out. Because there was nobody going to go anywhere near the risk of that happening again.
But now it would be where I went to school,
St. Thomas.
No, St. Aloysius. If you misbehaved in the physics class, everybody held hands, and one got the positive, one got the negative, and the teacher had a hand generator. And
wow! So they learned about electricity. They all learned about electricity.
So when I sit doing this, that it's.
I've come across that box that you're talking about.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You hold the handle and then they turn it on the other side and produces
power. This kind of society that we live in is so regulated that you can't have inventions. You can't have a blue sky thinking. You can't think outside the box. And, we are lucky in Newcastle. We mix with each other. You got Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians even, white guys even, mixing in the Beacon building, mixing in Spice. And we are really in a very good place. You go to Bradford, there's no riots. The Hindus are fine. The Muslims are fine. They just don't talk to each other.
I think it's interesting you're saying you can't, because you can if you set your mind to it. But you've got to. I think we've talked even times in various programs about you sticking your head above the parapet, being different. If you conform with what appears to be the majority, then you're not going to get on. But I think there are a lot of people who, if they were supported, and I think this is where Christine comes in again. You were very brave, and you were. I wouldn't say brave is the right word. You were given the belief that you could succeed, and all the sort of concerns.
So that is the core thing, isn't it, Christine?
Other people can do exactly the same, influenced by how you've done it. And say, well, if Christine can do it, so can I. Then you should have the lots of little.
Well, the reason I bring fantastic people to the show, present day excluded.
I'm looking at Christine.
I heard that. Edit that bit out.
I'm looking at Christine Deponia's book, says Overcoming Adversity. I remember my dad telling me in school days, you can turn adversity into an advantage.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's what it's
about. Well, everyone, look at him. He's not just another wheelchair user. He's the wheelchair user in the world.
Yes.
How influential are you? You were
apparently the best.
In the where?
In the world.
Well, of course,
Really? The most influential wheelchair user.
April last year. I've gone down now. I'm way down.
What, you're 258 points?
Not even that many. I don't even get on the list though.
So what have you done bad?
Coming on here, I think so.
Welcome. I used to be a decent doctor once. Look what's up. He used to be a decent policeman. He used to own a ship. But this is people who have changed their lives in a more serious vein. We all have a life. We don't retire. We just change our jobs. Like death is a kind of a change. That's all it is. It's not a death.
It's interesting you talk that, because it's about people getting hung about retirement. You should never retire. You're always doing something.
No, you don't.
Well, the only time is retire when you're 6 foot under. Or being cooked in the crematorium.
You can always contribute. Doesn't matter what age, your wisdom, your knowledge of what you've learned over the time. And that's how I see my life. I probably was a bit like Christine at one time, thinking, why me? Why have I got this?
Why have I been dealt these cards?
But then you think, well, I can actually help other people who are in similar positions, or I can help other people to help them understand what it's like in that position.
And in that process, you forget your own pain completely.
Absolutely, yes, do.
Yeah, isn't it, Nick? If you were constantly me.
This talk about disability. I mean, I don't consider myself disabled. I can do most things. No.
I think retirement is just something that's gone completely out of the system everywhere.
Yes.
I mean, we know a lot of very wealthy people who could retire 40 years ago, but they're still working. People like Bill Gates, people like Warren Buffett, they're still at it.
But Bill Gates met Mrs. Muffet, didn't he? And she made him get into the charitable world. So she made him move up a peg or two. Steve Jobs, he was kicked out of his own company, and his speeches are there for everyone to read. Steve Jobs, and he said, I learned to combine the dots, and because I had done calligraphy, you know how to, that's why I made the computers very beautiful. And people want to own the iPhone and want, because it's so sexy, so attractive, instead of just a box, you know, ugly little bloody Amstrads, as good looking as Mr. Alan Sugar. You know.
Sure, and Bill Gates went in.
Yeah, we'll finish on a song in a minute.
Bill and Amanda Gates Foundation.
But that is the thing, it's the evolution of Bill Gates, and Amanda has taken him places.
True, 15 years ago. And he devotes most of his time, in fact, all of it, to the foundation.
Yes.
Which is contributing to various things for the benefit of humanity.
So the passion of Steve Jobs was to make very good instruments and very good likable things. He was a bit of a dictator and so on, but he had done meditation. He had gone to some Hindu classes and things. So he was looking outside the box.
Yes.
He was born to an unwed mother who gave him up so that he could study, but the parents couldn't afford it. But he somehow went to classes. And he lay on the, I mean, he has had a horrible life, you know. It isn't that you're born.
Apple was about to die in 1996 when Bill Gates offered them $150 million to survive. And they offered him shares. They said, no, just give me non-voting shares. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So he came back because his own committee kicked him out because they were full of this is right and that is wrong. And he said, excuse me, I started the company. I'm Abraham. I started your religions and you're kicking me out. It's a bit like that, isn't it? He's the founder. But they didn't have the faith. So I also believe that the original Jesus had a very different message from today's Christians, isn't it? And the same about the Holy Prophet from Islam, the same about Hindus, the same about Jews, the same about everyone.
There's a lot of things that we discuss individually, but we can't put them out on the radio. For example, I've got to be fat to be given a fatwa against me.
He can't put it out on radio, but he just has.
I'm in trouble.
You got a fatwa, I've got a thinwa. Okay, Christine, let's end on a song and a happy note. We've had a lot of lovely discussions. We've had some warm, hot discussions with Siamak, and I invite them to the studio to discuss the same. Siamak mainly said processes are extremely important, so beware of running individual things. My view is completely the opposite. And my friend Iftikhar said, it's okay for this and okay for that. I want a non-committal answer. My answer is, do you vote for this or that? You can't be in both camps. And Gandhiji all the time. Because look what Gandhiji did. Mr. Non-Violent allowed 1 million people to die on the borders of India and Pakistan. So sometimes people out of touch, I'm talking about Gandhi and not Iftikhar, please don't come and hurt me. Sometimes people are so good to be too good to be true. They are not connected with reality. The reality is ground zero. Bad things are happening and we have to stop them. Let's have what are you going to sing now?
We're going to sing, and they can dance and sing, dance around the floor in their own homes. He's got the whole world in his hands. And I believe that God has.
Okay.
You know, but the whole world in his hands.
By world, we think of the earth, but there's a bit more than the earth in on the universe. Yes, go on. Let's end on a beautiful song. So I'll say bye-bye, listeners, now. We hear a beautiful rendition of He's Got the Whole World in His Hand.
He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got you and me, sister, in his hands. He's got you and me, sister, in his hands. He's got you and me, sister, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the little tiny baby in his hands. He's got the little tiny baby in his hands. He's got the little tiny baby in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
I want everybody out there to clap their hands and sing and stamp their feet. Right. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole wide world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got you and me, brother, in his hand. He's got you and me, brother, in his hand. He's got you and me, brother, in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got you and me, sister, in his hand. He's got you and me, sister, in his hand. He's got you and me, sister, in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the little tiny baby in his hand. He's got the little tiny baby in his hand. He's got the little tiny baby in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got everybody here in his hand. He's got everybody here in his hand. He's got everybody here in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand.
It's Red Hot Radio. Spice FM 98.8 FM.
Hot radio in his hand, got the Spice FM in his hand. लोगे मेरे साथ?
ओए बंटिया, ऐसा क्यों बोलता? तो नाले लुंगी क्यों पाई हुई है?
अरे हम जा रहे हैं नया मद्रासी रेस्टोरेंट जिसका नाम है.
Back to us, and it wasn't
make sure
it wasn't as easy as that. There was a lot of wiping out, and then when you hear yourself saying what you're saying, you think, no, I've repeated, I've done
You're
this.
so lucky you didn't have to learn spelling.
Yeah, there was an awful
There's some good in everything, you know.
There was an awful lot to do.
Okay. So today's your show, and what we are hoping to raise is some funds for your and to support your immense courage. Okay, can I start by donating £10 to your cause?
Okay. Oh, lovely. Thank you.
So there you are. And so it comes from the heart. Sadly, it comes from my pocket as well. So how do you run your place, man? You're blind. You had a bitter childhood. I won't say bitter. Bitter things were done to you, but they never got you, did they? You're still the tough little bugger that you always were.
Yes,
Sorry, I shouldn't use the word bugger on radio, but
I am.
You are. You're tough. You're a deponio, you know.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people, will say to us, Christine, what a strong person you are. But it's funny, I've never saw myself as strong.
You are as you are.
I'll be into I am as I am.
Yes.
And I think I'm a walking, whatever you want to call it, to just prove that what you can do and what you can over.
Well, you came into the studio. You opened the door for Steve, and you're blind, and he's in a wheelchair. I'm sorry, I don't have an obvious disability except for being brown-skinned, you know. Right. And then you remove the little rug that was a health hazard.
Yes.
So in a way, you see more than other people.
I think I do. Yes.
I've got a friend called Saqib in the Pakistan Cultural Society, and he became a lawyer in Pakistan, where Urdu Braille still doesn't exist. Braille is there for English people.
Yeah.
But in Urdu or Hindi, I don't know whether it exists or doesn't. But he's a lawyer, so how the hell did he pass it? Gosh. He's a good musician.
Amazing.
But I mean, music doesn't need any eyes, does it?
No.
If you're looking at music, it's poor quality.
That's right.
You know, Madonna and all that.
Yeah.
If you didn't make the videos, maybe the songs wouldn't sell.
I always believe where there's a will, there's a way.
Ah.
You know, and you adapt and you find your own way.
Well, sorry, my parents are very poor. Where there's a will, there's a way, man. I'm cracking a bad joke. Okay, so yes. So how about giving her the guitar and let's hear a song straight from her. While you're preparing that, and there's a song running. I don't know why. Is that you?
That's me. Yeah, singing.
There is always a reason for what happens in our lives.
You've got a beautiful voice.
Britain's Got Talent.
And Spice has got talent in the studio.
These songs I wrote from the heart. It's just, I had a nervous breakdown at the time, actually. I don't know a thing about music.
You were in Stannington.
You wrote these songs, did you?
I wrote these and composed these songs, and I don't know a thing about music. They were wrote about 25 years ago.
So did you use reading books to understand the Bible?
No,
because it's a very Christian song, isn't it?
Nothing. It's very Christian. I was ill at the time. I'd had a breakdown. I'd been rushed to hospital. I had one little boy, and then I had my second little boy who was only 18 months old at the time. And And when I came home, I was really down again in the depths of despair. I had been nursing my husband for 5.5 years, who almost died again, and I couldn't believe that all this was happening. And then all of a sudden, I just felt the need to grab a tape recorder, grab my guitar, and the next minute music and words and everything was just flowing.
Now, whether you call it the visit from the Holy Spirit, or whether you call it spiritual awakening,
I feel the Holy Spirit,
or whether you call it that defining, it just doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's Allah or Krishna or Jesus. It just doesn't matter. People make so much about their brand of religion and kill each other for that. You know, I'm very happy you've done what you've done. You know, I'm delighted and I can experience it. When I go to Goa, I always visit the body of Francis Xavier. I know he came to India to convert everyone to Christianity, but that's his problem. But he's there and it touches me, you know, because these are holy people. Mother Teresa inspires me.
Yeah.
AD in Pakistan, he's a charity worker. He takes nothing, he just gives. These kind of people just kind of, it's lovely to meet them. Tell me, who inspired you? Something must have touched you in the real world, outside world.
I feel that God inspired me really more than anything.
But what kind of pain did you need to be pushed towards God?
I was just in the depths. I was practically lying on the floor. I just felt my life was, I actually thought I was going to die. And I didn't want to die because
Did you ever feel like committing suicide?
I never felt like committing suicide, but I never wanted to wake up each day.
So, okay. So you never put it into motion, but you say, why be alive?
Yes, why be alive? What was the point of it all?
And suddenly you found a reason.
And I felt a reason, you know, for really living. I had to push on to live for my husband. I needed to live for my children. But there was just still so much abuse and control in my life from my mother, who was still alive then. And I found life difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we will not talk about the negatives there. I mean, with the recent happenings in Peshawar, we're also sad and so on. So why don't you play something of your choice, something you love and something you want to? And if you know the words, Debbie, should we join? Join.
Yeah.
It's like Stadler and Waldorf and Muppet. Yeah, we'll join in.
Well, I'd like to do this song, and then you'll all know this one. This is Harry Belafonte many years ago.
Harry Belafonte, the black guy from West Indies.
And I absolutely love this song.
Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower.
Well, this one's Try to Remember, and this is the song I actually sang when I went to Metro the Musical. I was chosen for Metro the Musical.
God, she's been places I haven't been.
To do Try to Remember. Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and gallant fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow, 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 follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, although we know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, without a hurt, the heart is hollow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fire of September that was so mellow. Deep in December, our heart should remember, then follow, 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 follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fire of September that was so mellow. Deep in December, our heart should remember, then follow, 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 follow.
Who lost their children.
Anand here. We are slightly in a somber mood. We'll change it. But really, we need to pay homage to the families that have sacrificed their lives. If it brings the world together, we don't care what religion,
We don't care about geography. We don't care. These were children who wanted to be educated. Their parents sent them with lunch boxes and nice sweet ties and green jackets to a military school where they went just to study. That's all the fault of the children was. They went to study. And look what the Taliban did to them. The worst thing they did was burn their headmistress in front of them. How can those children ever recover from that? We talk about the Holocaust. We talk about the world wars. World War III is still going on. Anyway, we are now in the studio with our lovely Christine Deponio. But, let her be introduced by my wonderful friend, Wheelchair Steve. Hi, Wheelchair Steve. How are you?
Good afternoon, everybody. We're back again. It was no show last week. The doc had more important things to do than look after me.
Excuse me, I was talking to the Queen.
All right.
No, I wasn't talking to the Queen. Like, it was Amar Mirza talking to the Queen.
Yes. Did you see the Queen? Did she say
of course.
Did you curtsy to her?
Well, her poodle bit me, but enough of that.
We'll hear about that later.
Okay, yeah.
We've got a very special show today. This is the final one of this year, because of on the Thursday anyway, when I'll be here, because it's Christmas Day next week and I'm not coming, and then New Year's Day.
I sadly, I'm such a sad guy. I am coming because I don't have kids in the house. I don't have a Christmas tree. Right. I bought 10 cheap Christmas cards and I forgot to give one of them. I'm quite bad at rituals, you know.
So anyway, as far as my last show of the year, and it's great to be back, and we'll bring back Christine Deponio, who, if you listened 2 weeks ago, was telling us a great story about how she'd overcome the challenge.
Blind Courage.
Blind Courage is the book that she'll tell you about in a little while. But she'd come back from a troubled childhood, and she became blind at the age of 16.
So she has seen a lot before she went blind.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And a lot of not good things, as we're here. But then she bounces back and sees her religion, sees God, and sets on a fantastic mission to create a home called Emmanuel House in Gateshead, which is her own home, and she welcomes people there to get respite. And
so Christine is the main theme, but we also have to the right of you.
We have Mick.
See, I'm a doctor. I can tell which is your right and your
on my right. Christine is on my left.
Yes.
Mick is on my right. For those that aren't very clear on the video, Mick is regular in here as well.
Yes.
That's how we originally met. Mick met you.
And he survived a horrible adulthood being a policeman. Yes, and now he's better. I used to be a doctor. Now I'm better.
we all have our faults. Though.
Yes.
Mick's got a
journey.
Yes. He actually stole somebody else's car as well, if he told us that.
Yes,
Okay. So, Christine, say something for yourself. Otherwise, it sounds like, does he take sugar?
Well, hello, everybody. You know, I'm sitting here with just mad people like you. And I was telling everyone, this show, I have never been to such a radio show in all my life. And I was telling everybody about you, Doc. Just saying, they must have thrown the mould away when they made you.
No. God's hands got burnt, you know. But Christine, today is a show just about you, primarily, because we all are amazed at your blind courage. In fact, I hold a book in my hand called Blind Courage. And this is for the camera, by the way. Blind Courage. How did you write this book? Did you dictate it?
I dictated it, yes. I had 2 tape recorders going at the same time. And then I have a son who eventually put it onto computer.
Wow.
And he would read it.
Some as young as 12. The gunmen were killed when the military stormed the school following the attack. Most of the students are children of military personnel. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan group claims responsibility for the massacre in revenge for a major military offensive in the region. World leaders condemned the Taliban massacre as heinous and an act of horror. 16-year-old survivor Shakruk Khan pretended to be dead after he was shot in both legs. He says, "I saw death so close, and I will never forget the black boots approaching me." Nobel Peace Laureate Malala Yousafzai, shot by the Taliban in 2012, said she was heartbroken by the senseless and cold-blooded
The people of
killing.
Pakistan were staggered today by the worst terror attack in at least 7 years. When it was over, scores of young students lay dead at the hands of Taliban gunmen. Chief Foreign Affairs correspondent Margaret Warner begins our coverage.
The wounded children were brought to a hospital in Peshawar, one after another. Some on stretchers, others in the arms of teachers or parents, their dark green school uniforms bloody. Most of the dead were students at a military-run school for 1st through 10th graders, along with 9 staffers. Classes were underway when the Taliban killers stormed in.
As soon as the firing started, our teacher made us sit in a corner and told us to lower our heads. After around an hour, army personnel came and rescued us. We saw in the corridors our friends who had been shot 3 or 4 times, some dead and some injured. Their blood had spilled all over the place.
Physics lab assistant.
I am the physics lab assistant. We were sitting in the canteen. We saw 6 people climbing from the wall. We thought it must be the children playing some game, but then we saw a lot of firearms with them. They started firing at us, so we ran into the classrooms and closed the doors.
Army commandos ended the siege 8 hours later. Officials said 7 attackers, all wearing explosive vests, were killed. The Taliban attacks Pakistani schools frequently, but never on the scale of today's slaughter. The Pakistani Taliban claimed it was in retaliation for a new government military offensive in North Waziristan. That's a tribal area west of Peshawar, used as a base by Taliban and other extremist groups to launch terror attacks in both Pakistan and Afghanistan. For years, the United States had urged Pakistan's government to clear out the safe haven, to no effect. But in June, after a militant assault on Karachi's international airport that killed dozens, Pakistani forces launched a concerted campaign in North Waziristan and recently boasted of killing nearly 2,000 militants there. Rushing to Peshawar today, Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif vowed the military offensive will not falter.
You're absolutely right, and I pressed the defense minister about that. I said, who is your main enemy? Is it India, or do you admit that it is these extremists, these jihadis, this Taliban? And he said, there is no doubt about it. While we may have complicated relations with various countries on our borders, the biggest threat to peace, the biggest threat to Pakistan are these jihadis, is the Taliban. But as many people have said, if this kind of massive attack on the military's own children doesn't spur a full-scale forward march and change of tune, really, then practically nothing will, Anderson.
And I mean, they have...
I now urge you to hold a 2-minute silence wherever you are listening to me. Just keep quiet for 2 minutes and feel for the parents. It was a very difficult show today because we began talking about the 140 children and adults who were slaughtered mercilessly in a bloodbath, totally enjoyed by the stupid Taliban. I felt so upset and distressed, and yet somehow managed to finish the show. When I came home, I was to get ready to go to a Christmas party, and I just couldn't hack it. I just couldn't face it. So anyway, this is further to that story. Let's all unite to fight these monsters, these beasts, and God help them, we are together.
16th. Scores of people, most of them children, were killed today when Taliban gunmen stormed a school in the Pakistani city of Peshawar. Hundreds of students were taken hostage in the bloodiest insurgent attack in the country in years. Troops surrounded the building and an operation was underway to rescue children still trapped inside, the army said. Hours into the siege, 3 explosions were heard inside the military-run high school, and a Reuters journalist at the scene said he heard heavy gunfire. Outside, as helicopters rumbled overhead, police struggled to hold back distraught parents who were trying to break past a security cordon and get into the school. Behraman Khan, Director of Information for the Regional Chief Minister's Secretariat, said at least 130 people
now, just a
were
heads
killed.
Up, this is going to be a very intense video. And this is something that I hope we never have to go through, but sadly, it's a reality for many people. A teacher was burnt alive while her students were forced to watch the whole thing. Now, this took place during the massacre in the Peshawar school, where around 140 children were killed. Now, question I want to ask you guys is, what was your favorite subject in school? So there was 9 Taliban gunmen that stormed a school in northwestern Pakistan, and this was labeled as the worst ever militant attack to hit the whole region. There's a source that told NBC that they burnt a teacher in front of the students in a classroom. Like, they literally set her on fire with gasoline and made the kids watch.
कौन जाग जाए बस कर दे यार बड़े जनाजे तो हमारी है फिर और जनाजे नहीं दफना सकते मुल्क में रहम कर दे अल्लाह आप मुल्क में रहम कर दे अल्लाह हमें माफ कर दे अल्लाह मौला
इस जंग को उस वक्त तक जारी रखेंगे जब तक हमारी सरजमीन पर एक भी दहशतगर्द बाकी है। आज का ये इजलास उस जज्बे को तहसीन की नजर से देखता है जिसके तहत हुकूमत ने तमाम सियासी जमातों को एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर इकट्ठा होने का मौका दिया। दहशतगर्दी का हम भरपूर तरीके से और पूरी तरह से हर मुहाज पर हर जगह पर उसका मुकाबला करने के लिए आज गुफ्तगू हुई है। तो इंशाल्लाह उस प्लान में ये सारी चीजें खुलकर आपके सामने आएंगी।
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. This is Rappler's Wrap for the Day, a list of the most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At least 141 people are dead after 6 Taliban gunmen stormed a public school in northwest Pakistan Tuesday. Most of the dead were students.